Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Sport Clips Artistic Team Caravan. My name is Stacia Kelly. I'm the artistic director of Sport Clips, and do we have a show for you? We got Gibbs Grooming here, the Sport Clips Artistic Team, Sharkfin Shears, and John Paul Mitchell Systems. After each caravan, we send out a survey to our audience, you, to see what education you want to see next. And you said curls and texture, so we're here to deliver. First up, we have Shed Rodriguez and Stephanie Irvin, Gibbs Grooming and Sport Clips Artistic Team with Beardology.
What's up, everyone? I'm Brandon from Gibbs Grooming, and this is Gibbs in 60 Seconds, where I'll give you product knowledge about our products in 60 seconds. Let's start where Gibbs Grooming started, with the beard, hair, and tattoo oils. Our beard, hair, and tattoo oils will hydrate and moisturize any beard in any length. Apply 2 to 4 pumps depending on your beard size. Emulsify into the palms and then apply directly to the facial skin, pulling it down through the beard hair as well. Because of natural ingredients such as passion fruit oil and copaiba balsam oil, you will nourish the skin and hair. Apply directly to the scalp, pulling through your scalp hair. Also use as a heat protectant prior to blow drying. Olive and argan oils soften the skin, minimizing exfoliation, while sunflower oil strengthens, also acting as a natural UV protectant. Apply to any healed tattoo to minimize fading. And that's your Gibbs in 60 seconds.
Hey guys, thank you for joining today on the Caravan. We're so excited to be here with you and to talk about beards and everything beard. We're super excited. I'm excited. Today, our main focus is going to be beards in this class with the texture of the hair of the beards. I did do a haircut. I'm going to finish up that haircut today with doing some detail work around the ears, get the beard done. And I'm going to pass it on over to my friend Chev while I trim the rest of the haircut, and we'll get started.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you all for joining. We really appreciate everyone tuning in and checking us out. While Stephanie's going over her haircut and working on the beard, I'll be talking about some products, some product knowledge, and some tips and tricks on using our products. Gibbs Grooming is a full men's grooming line. So we cover everything from the beard to the hair, and we even have stuff for the body as well. We're based out of Fort Collins, Colorado, and we've been around since 2014. We started with just our 3 oils, like Brandon mentioned in the video. And now we have a full range of products, as I mentioned, spanning from hair care, beard care, and body care. The first 3 oils that were in the video are our flagship oils. These all work the exact same way. They all have a different scent. These are amazing for helping to really hydrate the beard, giving the beard a lot of softness, as well as helping the dry skin underneath the beard. These are the perfect step to use when you want to really hydrate that beard and get it under control. It's good for any length of beard. So whether it's a 5-day scruff or a full beard, these oils are going to really help to make that hair less coarse. It's going to really help to smooth that hair out. Also, it's going to make it smell good, and of course, it's going to really hydrate that skin as well. We know that great hair comes from the base. So when you use our oils to really hydrate that skin, it helps to promote that better beard as well.
Awesome. All right, so now I have my finishing touches of my haircut. Now we're gonna go get into the beard. So when it comes to a man's beard, this is like, I always compare it to makeup for a girl. We use lots of makeup to contour our face, make things seem smaller or not there or take distraction away. So it's the same with men, like their beards help contour their face. When I'm having my consultation with him, to make him feel comfortable with me trimming his beard, I always use terms like detailing. I don't ever want to ask a guy with a beard like this during the consultation, especially if he doesn't bring up beards, if we're going to trim his beard today. Because when you use the word trim, a trim is different in everyone's mindset, right? So a trim to me could be just a little, but to him a trim could be like 2 inches. So when you have a man in your chair that has a long beard and you use that term, he instantly kind of gets scared. So instead of using the word trim or anything having to do with cutting, I always like to use the word detail. Did you want to detail your beard today? Did you want to sculpt your beard? Do we want to shape your beard? And I always want to ask him what the goal of his beard is. Like, where does he want it? Where does he want the length? What shape does he want? All those questions matter. And the verbiage you use with your client makes him feel more confident in your ability to trim his beard and not take too much length off. Because guys and their beards, they have a relationship. So we don't want to ruin their relationship. And I definitely don't want to ruin our relationship because I need him to come back to me, right? So once I get that consultation done and we figure out what we're going to do, then it's time to prep the beard. You never want to just go in and start raking through his beard. The beard hair is just like our hair. So if I woke up in the morning and I just took a brush and started combing my hair, it would look like it was snowing. And I don't want that because then I have more layers I don't want in my hair. And he doesn't want that to happen to his beard because then his beard gets shorter than he wants, right? So we're always going to use a product to put in there. I like to prep with the Con Man. It's a leave-in conditioner. You put it in there, you go straight to the skin because you're not only prepping the beard, but you're prepping his skin too. If he wants to grow a full, healthy beard, it starts at the skin. So getting really deep in there, rubbing it in the skin and coming out through the ends, that's really going to help when we do start combing through it to get it ready to start trimming.
Yeah, those are some great points, Stephanie. And going back to the relationship with the beard, some guys, they grow their beard out for years. And so they develop this like really close-knit relationship with their beard. Sometimes it matters even more than their hair. And as Stephanie mentioned, you do want to try to stay away from those words like trim, because it does have negative connotations attached to it. When you tell someone, or you ask someone, can I trim your beard? They automatically think that you're going to take a whole lot off. So when you use more subtle words like sculpt, or even, what was the other word you used, Stephanie? Shape?
Sculpt, shape, detail.
Detail, yeah, that's the one. When you use words like that, it eases the guy's mind a little bit. It's like, oh, they're just going to touch my beard up and make it look really good, as opposed to the word trim, which, you know, like I said, it makes you think they're going to take a whole lot off. You know, like as I mentioned, the relationship with the beard is really strong. So if you mess up a guy's beard, more than likely, he's probably never going to come back. You mess up his hair, it'll grow back within a couple of weeks. That beard, though, it takes a lot longer to grow back, and you might lose a client if you mess up his beard. So using those key words are going to really help to build that relationship with you and your client, especially when it comes to taking care of the beard. Stephanie also used the Con Man as a great base product. Now, the oils are amazing as a base product as well, but we do have so many other products out there that are great for the beard, and Con Man is another great favorite. Stephanie mentioned this is a leave-in conditioner. It does have some mild styling benefits, so it's going to give you a really light hold, and it's going to feel really light in the beard. This is the perfect product for textured hair, curly hair. It's not only great in the beard, but it's going to really help hydrate curls and waves. This is what I use in my hair. My hair is pretty curly right now, and this is my go-to product for that. It just keeps those curls and waves really hydrated, really soft, and gives them a nice light hold without weighing the hair down.
So now I've gone in, I've started my trimming. when we had our consultation and the things we talked about, I like to have my consultation more thoroughly as I'm doing their haircut. That way I can get to know their hobbies and really find out what he does for a living, what he does for fun, what he likes most about his beard, what he likes least about it. So we got to talking, and he rides motorcycles. And one of his biggest complaints was right here, it flies up into his face. So he doesn't want to take a lot of length off, but I talked about tapering right here and going down into the length. That way, when that wind catches it, there's nothing there to lift up and fly up in his face. So I've gone in with my clippers, and I'm choosing to use a flat blade clipper, a fade blade, because our end result, we want it to be more square. So this is just going to allow me to keep that square shape without having to worry about my angle very much. If I know this blade is flat, so I know as long as I continue to just keep doing that straight line, it's gonna stay square and flush to his skin. So I popped on a guard. Now I'm gonna pop on my one guard, and I'm gonna continue to go downward with the beard. So I'm going with the grain instead of against. If I were to go against the grain, I'm gonna take a lot of length off, and he would not be very happy. So going with the grain, it's just dusting and lightly taking little by little off. So just coming in and following the grain and listening to your clipper. Your clipper talks to you, so make sure that you listen to what it's saying. If it's cutting a lot of hair, you want to definitely step back and make sure that you put the right guard on.
Yeah, and a lot of guys might say, well, can you use your shears on my beard? But using clippers is perfectly fine. It might take a little bit of practice for you to get used to, but once you nail that down, using the clippers is so much more efficient than using the shears. Don't get me wrong, the shears are great for doing, if you have a couple of little straggly hairs, those are great for helping to trim that beard up, or there I go, using that word trim, helping to sculpt that beard. But using the clippers is going to be way more efficient, and it's going to help to get a more even cut as well. Another really good tip, some beards are really long, and when they are riding motorcycles, bikes, or even just in the wind, sometimes an oil or the con man isn't really enough to keep that beard in check. So we do have some other products. We do have our balms. So our beard balms are both wax-based. Our tree hugger uses a plant-based wax, and our black Kodiak uses a beeswax-based. These are really great for helping to give the beard some more control, some extra hold, a little bit more shine. These are great balms to use if the beard is really unruly, or if it's a really windy day. And even if you do ride a bike or motorcycle, that wind is going to blow that beard no matter what. But using something like the balms, as soon as you get off that bike, you can just lay that hair down. It's going to stay in place until your next ride. Now, if you do want to keep it secure during that ride, we do have some other products you can use. We do have a bunch of hair products. A lot of guys like to use the Outlaw in their beard to kind of keep it down in the wind. And it is a pomade for the hair, but it does help in those really wild situations when you need that super control in that beard. And lastly, you can always use the Brawler hairspray if you need super control. So those are some products that someone can use to really keep their beard in check.
Yes, I love the beard balms, and like using them as, I like to rub the rest of it into my hands and use as a lotion because it just helps hydrate the skin so well. So now I'm coming in freehand with my clipper. I'm creating that shape, that square shape. So coming in flat to the face and just floating it down. So I'm not even like touching his skin I'm coming straight down with it to create that square shape. I'll do it from the front view too, so you can kind of see how far away I really am from the head. And it's all about taking little by little, because you don't want to take too much, because then you have to try to even up both sides. So I work back and forth, and then I'll connect the two on the bottom.
Yeah, that's perfect right there, because when guys see you just working on one side and not checking on the other side, that can make them nervous as well. So doing little by little is the perfect way to help ease that client's mind. Another really cool trick with the balms, especially with black Kodiak, it's my favorite. A really good way to use this is before you do a hot towel, if you're gonna do some beard work, or if you notice someone has a really dry, really unruly beard, take some of the black Kodiak. You can also use a tree hugger, rub it into the beard, and put that hot towel on top of the beard. That hot towel, the steam from that hot towel is going to really help to open up the hair follicles and just really allow the oils and butters in the balms to really penetrate that hair and really help to smooth it out. It's almost like you can think of it almost like a hot oil treatment for your beard. So it's an additional service you can add to the beard detail, and it makes that beard super soft and smelling really good and a lot more manageable, especially when you go to run a brush through it.
All right, now I've got that shape in on the sides. So I've combed it down. And when it comes to trimming and shaping up, so same with our hair. When the ends are frayed and you can see through them, the length kind of disappears, right? So we already talked about how we were going to trim it up, and we were going to trim all the see-through ends and create a more solid base. He's going to start growing out the underneath portion more. That way it thickens the beard up so he can get more length in the future. But right now we're just going to take it to where it's more full. I created my corner over here, and I created my corner over here. So I'm just gonna connect those two corners. And a lot of things we have to think about. I touched on how contouring with us and our makeup. So this is the same for guys, right? Guys wear beards to help accentuate features, mask features. So when I went in there and prepped it, that gives me the opportunity to really feel his face shape down there and give him those recommendations of where we should keep it fuller. So he has more of a round chin. That's why we're choosing the square shape, because I don't want to take a lot of weight out in this corner over here, because that's going to accentuate his round face. So keeping it more square is going to help give it that angular look that men like, and that is more ideal for the male face shape. So that's a lot of reasons why we do the things we do when it comes to beard trimming. And those things is what gives this guy the confidence in me to trim his beard the way he wants it. Now, if I just went in and started whacking away at it, he probably wouldn't come back to me. But since we had these conversations and we talked a lot about his goals, we have the ability to create a plan for his future.
Yeah, and you mentioned he was going to grow his beard out a lot more underneath. That's, some guys might come in and, you know, they have a beard, but they may say, well, my beard just doesn't grow, or I can't get it to be really thick. One of the first questions you can ask them is, do they shave underneath the beard? So like around their neckline, underneath their Adam's apple, are they shaving that? Because if so, that is going to take away from the fullness and the bulkiness of the beard. So if someone wants a really nice, bulky, full beard, a lot of that bulkiness comes from underneath. So one tip is to not shave underneath at all, really. That is going to help to give that beard that nice full effect, and it's going to help to make it a lot more, a lot bigger as well. Some guys don't even grow a lot of hair down here, but for the ones that do, they can grow some really awesome beards if they just let that grow out.
That is seriously the exact conversation we had. He mentioned that his beard gets stringy on the ends, and I told him to look up, and he has it shaved pretty far forward. And I told him, I was like, most guys that have those really thick beards don't shave all that. So
Yeah.
if we want this to get thicker and look fuller, we're gonna have to stop shaving that. And those are the exact recommendations I gave him on his beard. So now I'm going in, I have my shape in there. I'm going in and I'm freehanding with my scissors and floating through and getting the ends of the stragglers that are hanging out. So just free floating through there and just trimming those ends.
And being able to move from side to side, and also using the clippers and then your shears on top of that, it really lets the guy know, like, wow, this stylist, this barber really knows what they're doing. Like, I trust him, especially if it's the first time the guy's sitting in your chair. Being that focused and detailed really puts a guy's mind at ease, and they'll definitely come back because they know that you're going to perform a really good service when it comes to getting that beard looking good.
So once I get all the stragglers, we talked about his mustache, and his goal for his mustache is he wants to grow it out to where he can twist it up and put some wax in it and it stay up curled. So we're not going to take any length off the end, because when it comes to that curl, the curl's all in the ends of that mustache. Just like hair cutting, if I want the hair to go backwards, I want shorter hair in the front to push it backwards. So coming in the middle, and you can do this with your scissors, your trimmers. I'm going to switch to my trimmers. And he wants it just at the top of his lip. So coming in, starting in the middle, working side to side. I'm not going to just go in, put that heavy line in there. I'm going to start on the one side. His mustache already splits, so he's been working on that. So it splits down the middle, so I know where he wants it. And I'm just going to come in and slowly take little by little off the lip. And I'm going to taper it down and follow the curvature of his lip. That way we don't make a straight line across. And whenever that happens, I always think of a walrus, and how a walrus, I don't know why I relate it to that, but I just always think of a walrus. So I don't want to walrus him. I'm going to come in, taper it around that lip, but then I'm going to stop where his length is.
And if the mustache, some guys have really full mustaches that are just crazy and wild. If you have trouble getting it under control, you can take some pomade. One of our light hold pomades, like our OG Baller, is going to be perfect for helping to just give that hair a little bit more structure. So if you put your comb through it, it's going to help you to get a cleaner line when you're going in with your trimmers or your shears. So yeah, if you need a little bit extra hold and control, take one of the pomades and apply it to the mustache right before you cut it.
Now I'm taking my comb and I'm slightly elevating the thicker part of the mustache in the middle, and I'm trimming that to create a little bit of a layer on there. That way it's not just a chunk of hair. So if I put those little bit of layering in there, it's going to help push it down and let it lay better for him.
Stephanie, we have a question in the chat box, if you don't mind answering. This is from Valerie. She's asking, what do you use to get the fade effect for those sides of the beard?
It's all in your tools. So you can use scissors, you can use clippers. My preferred method on him was the clippers because I know I wanted to take enough off and I wanted to do it efficiently. So I used my blades or my guards and just coming down and remembering that I'm going in reverse on the beard. So instead of the haircut, I'm going short to long. To fade the beard, I'm going long down here and short. So I go backwards with it. So I'll pop on my larger guard. I used a 1.5 open and just came in, combed through it with the growth of the hair. That way I didn't take too much length off. Then I closed that, went slightly above that, combed down into it, and I kept doing that and went to my smallest and then connected them where that sideburn would have been cut off. So it's just reverse fading towards the beard. But you can easily do that with scissor over comb too, but that can be a little more time consuming when there's a lot of length that you want to get rid of at first.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important part to the haircut is blending that beard into the haircut. And I think it's something that guys do look at. I know for me, if I go to a stylist or a barber and they forget to do that, it kind of just leaves the haircut incomplete. So that's a really important thing is, trimming that or fading that beard into that haircut. So just finish it off and give it a really nice, clean look. Some guys do like that nice sharp line straight across, but for most of the guys that I know, they do like that really nice clean fade. So I guess that's something you can definitely bring up in the consultation, and just remember if they do want that fade, not to forget it because it's a really important part of the haircut.
Now I'm just doing the same thing on this side. Coming in, elevating that thicker area of the hair. I have my pinky like being used as a kickstand. So if he sneezes or moves, I don't chunk his mustache, right? So I always use my pinky as a stabilizer to go in and have more control. If I go in like this and I'm just holding it freehand, there's the ability to make a mistake, and I don't like to make mistakes. So I've learned from the mistakes that having a stabilizer in these smaller areas is definitely beneficial.
And going back to the full beard, there are some products you can use to help achieve a nice, fuller looking and thicker beard. One of my favorites is I'd love to start with the oil first, get that down into the skin. Then I'll take, we have Hitman. This is our texturizing spray. This is an amazing product for adding texture and fullness to the hair, but also to the beard, especially if you blow dry this in. So if you really want some nice full texture or volume, spray this in the hair, hit it with a blow dryer, take a little bit, put it in your hands, then rub it through the beard. Take your blow dryer, grab a wet brush, and really brush out that beard, going all the way across the beard. And then to really give it some volume, blow dry underneath the beard, going straight up. And then one last time, go back over it to kind of smooth things out. And that Hitman spray with that blow drying is going to really activate and really increase that volume and texture in each strand of that hair, giving that beard a nice, fuller effect and adding some nice volume to that beard. And then I like to finish it off with the Con Man. So take a little bit of that Con Man, rub it in my hands, and then put it on top of the beard. That really helps to rehydrate the beard, helps to smooth it out, and helps to give it some nice mild control. So those are 3 awesome products if someone really wants a nice, full, thick-looking beard, but also wants it to stay hydrated and not feel weighed down as well.
So I am now going to edge his beard up, clean up the stray stragglers in the cheek area. Before I do this, I like to put a little of the oil, doesn't matter which one, this one's just my favorite, in there. And I rub it in his cheeks, I rub it down his sideburns, on the side of his neck here, because I'm gonna be trimming right there. And once I get underneath and trim him up a little bit there, I'll probably rub some there too. But what that does is it allows my trimmers to just glide, and it's not gonna get caught, and it helps me just glide into the line I wanna create. I'm gonna follow his cheekbone. So whenever I trim beards, I like to use references. So I use the lip as a reference, so the corner of the lip, and I want to accentuate that jaw cheekbone area. So I will create that line and connect where his sideburn would end, and I'll use that to connect into my reference point of the corner of the lip. That way we can keep it even on both sides. So having those reference points keeps you organized, and it also gives you the ability to recreate the same thing on the other side. So keeping that in mind, I'll start up here, and I always start in the temple area because that is part of the edge up. And a lot of guys but they want us to trim that temple area because the hairs are a little longer in there because of the head shape, and it tends to get missed by clippers. So going in there and doing that extra detail in that area is going to save you time, and it's going to be a game changer for your experience behind the chair. So then I will follow that, just doing short strokes, following the pattern I want. I'll come in, I'll create the line flat like this and go up to the line that I want. But then just to make it a little more crisp, I'll go in sideways and just really polish that out.
Now, Stephanie used the oil before she did some trimming along the cheek line. The thing with our oils is they are great for so many different things. Of course, they're amazing in the beard with hydration, helping to give the beard some softness. But they're also great as a tattoo oil as well. So they're not meant for a fresh tattoo, but once your tattoo is healed, you can use this to help maintain the vibrancy of the tattoo as well as hydrate the skin. The cool thing about our oils is they're comprised of 5 base oils that are amazing for your hair and your skin. So you're going to be really doing yourself a favor if you use these oils, to help to maintain the vibrancy of your tattoo as well. A lot of guys will put the oil in their beard, and then whatever's left over, if they have tattoos, they'll rub it on their tattoos, or they can run it through their hair as well. So it's a beard, hair, and tattoo oil. So these can also be used in the hair, especially if you have really frizzy hair. These are great for helping to tame that frizz and helping to give the hair a nice shine. And it also adds a little bit of heat protection if you're going to blow dry. They're not just for guys either. A lot of women love the oils on their tattoos and in their hair, especially the alpha male. The alpha male is one of my favorite scents. It comes in this awesome little pump, and it also comes in, this really cool skull. So this glass skull, the nice little pump, and we also have it in a 4-ounce size. So the alpha male is a top seller amongst women, especially for those tattoos and that hair. And again, it's one of my favorite scents. It's a vanilla and sandalwood. So definitely, if you're going to try an oil out, try this one first. You'll love it. And the 4-ounce size, these are perfect for the back bar. In comparison, the 1-ounce size is perfect for your pocket or a guy's pocket. They can throw it in their pocket, their backpack, and carry it around all day. The 4-ounce size is going to be perfect for that back bar. It just really helps to extend that oil, and it's a perfect size to keep handy whenever you need it during your services.
All right, so I have my line in on this side. In this area, again, we talked about growing the underneath out. So I don't want to take all of this off. He normally shaves this off, and I can tell because of how short it is. So we talked about growing that out. So as the grow out process happens, he's gonna have to start blow drying his beard more. I know he already does that, and he has a beard straightener. That way it'll help shift the direction the hair wants to grow. The more you train the hair, the more it'll eventually do what you want it to do.
Yeah, definitely. I think the blow dryer is something that guys might be, I don't know, not necessarily afraid to use, but they might just see it as like, oh, I don't need to blow dry my beard. But I'm telling you, once they do it, it's like, oh, damn, my beard looks so much better. And then they continue to do it. And a great way to show them how good it will look is to do it while they're in your chair. Take that blow dryer. And like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't take a lot. I like to use the wet brush. The thing with the wet brush is you don't want to get it too hot because the bristles can kind of flex and kind of melt. But as long as you're doing it, you know, very lightly, you're not gonna have any issues at all. So, oh, sorry about that. So with the wet brush, I like to put the oil in, grab my blow dryer, do a real quick session across the whole length of my beard, kind of smooth it out. Again, come underneath the beard, blow dry it up, and then do one last pass across the top of it. And that just really helps to smooth things out again. And that's really all you need. It's less than probably 30 seconds. Some guys might think that blow drying their beard is going to take them 5 minutes, or they might say, oh, I don't have time for that. But really, it takes less than 30 seconds, and you'll be amazed, and they'll be amazed at what the difference it makes, and just helping to make that beard look a lot better, smooth it out, and give it a lot more control. And also, it adds length. So a lot of guys see that length, that extra length after the blow dry, and they're like, my beard looks a lot longer now. And it's like, yep, the blow drying does wonders for helping that beard out.
Stephanie, we have another question in the chat box from Valerie. She's asking about the edging up and with a razor. And I know we don't use razors at Sport Clips, but we do have another tool that gets really close as a razor. If you wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually my next step in my process. So let me grab that. So as Sport Clips, we can't use straight razors to edge them up, but the foil shaver is a great tool and it gets just as close. This isn't going to take off anything, like it's not going to take off any long hair. So I shouldn't be scared to like take this and meet up to my line that I created, because it won't take any of that long hair. It's only going to take that stubble and just really make it baby bottom smooth. With this as well, I like to add a little more oil, because again, it just helps it glide smoother. So I'll add some more oil. And then I like to just use on the beard trimming, I like to just use the top blade. I don't want to go in with both of them because that takes up a lot of space in such a small area. So I want to be precise and I want to be able to see what I'm doing. So if I come in with just this top foil and come in and just take it down to my line, it makes it more smooth and it just accentuates and makes it pop out that much more. and it's gonna extend the life of the shave, right? And straight razoring, a lot of guys love it, but to be efficient, sometimes this is gonna be your better option. And if he doesn't have a lot of stubble to take off, this is probably gonna be a better option as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the cool thing about the shavers is, like you mentioned, it doesn't cut the long hair. So even if you do accidentally slip and go a little bit further down, it's not going to take off that long hair. So they are a really awesome a tool to use whenever you're trying to get those little hairs around the cheek line.
Whenever I'm teaching people how to use this foil shaver for the first time, I always just take it and I'm like, it's not gonna cut long hair, see? And I just touch it to my head.
And in addition to using the oil right before that, it's also going to help to hydrate that skin as well. So it's going to help to reduce some of that irritation and keep that skin nice and soft. Another really cool thing about the Hitman spray, this is an amazing texturizing spray, but this also has hops and holy basil. Everyone knows what hops is. That's what they use to make beer. But hops is actually a really great anti-inflammatory. So a lot of barbers and stylists will actually take this and put it on like a neck strip or a paper towel. And after they're done trimming up, whether it be like the back of the neck, around the ears, the cheek line, take some of this, spray it on a paper towel, a neck strip, and kind of dab that area. The hops that's in here is going to really help to soothe that irritation. And the holy basil is going to really help to moisturize it. So it's almost like a mild astringent in that sense. So this is a perfect item to have. We're adding some texture and volume to the hair, but also for reducing irritation around the hairline when you're getting in really close and tight with either your clippers or your trimmers. And we do have, in addition to that, we also have our Bionic. So Bionic is our skin and scalp serum. This is great for dry skin and dry hair, but it also has a nice cooling effect. So if you don't have this handy, this is going to work in much the same way. It's going to help to really cool and soothe any kind of areas where there's irritation, but this is great for dry scalp and dry skin. This is perfect for under the beard. If someone has a really dry, really flaky beard, the last thing someone wants to do is walk around with beard druff. We call the dandruff that comes from the beard druff. It looks really bad and it's kind of nasty. So if someone has a really dry beard, Bionic is the perfect thing to use. What I like to do is take a few drops. I put it either in my fingers, or the cool thing about the Bionic is it has this nice dropper. So you can actually part the beard and drop a couple of drops where you need it, and then massage it into the skin. It absorbs super quick into the skin, maybe 20 seconds. And then once it's absorbed into the skin, you don't have to rinse it out. You just leave it. And then you can apply a balm or an oil on top of that to help smooth the hair out. But this is going to really help to alleviate that dry, itchy skin, help to alleviate that beard dandruff. And it also works well in the hair too. If you have a really dry scalp, that's going to work well to help to soothe that dryness and reduce any kind of itchiness as well. And the other cool thing about this, if someone shaves their head, I have a lot of bearded friends who can't grow hair, so they shave their head. This is it makes a great aftershave. A lot of the guys will just shave their head, use a couple of drops of this on top of their bald head. And because of that eucalyptus and menthol, it really helps to soothe the skin, reduce that irritation, and keeps the skin on, or keeps the scalp feeling really nice and smooth. So Bionic is another really cool product to keep handy. Yeah, it's just a really awesome little product.
Chev, we have a question for you.
Sure.
When you're recommending to clients with beards, how often should they shampoo?
Yeah, so that's a good one. So a lot of guys think that they need to shampoo their beard every single day. And that's actually not the case unless you're working in a really dirty job where your beard is getting covered in dirt or debris. You don't need to wash it every single day. Washing it every day can actually lead to it being more dry and brittle, which can lead to your beard not looking very good. So what we recommend is at least once or twice a week is probably really good. I know some guys that wash once a week. For myself, I do it about twice a week, and I use our man wash. Our man wash is sulfate and paraben free. It's not going to strip the natural oils from the beard. I'm sure a lot of you probably washed your hair multiple times in a day, and it makes your hair feel really dry, makes your scalp feel really dry. Well, that's what it's kind of doing to the beard. If you're using a shampoo or a bar of soap in your beard every day, it's kind of doing that same thing. It's stripping those natural oils from the hair. And our man wash isn't going to do that. It's actually going to put some natural oils back into the beard. So that's what's really cool about the man wash. It's a nice and easy wash, but it's great for cleansing the beard, also the hair, and the whole body. And a really important thing to do after you wash, especially if you have a really dry beard or dry skin, is using something like the biofuel. Our biofuel is our beard and hair conditioner. This is an awesome conditioning product for helping to really smooth that beard out. It really helps to hydrate the skin as well. This has caffeine in it, which helps to stimulate the hair follicle. So it's not going to make you grow a whole bunch of hair, but it is going to help to stimulate that hair follicle. And this stuff smells amazing. So I always like to, after I wash my beard, I take a little bit of this, put it in afterward, and just leave it in there throughout the duration of the shower, and then rinse it out at the very end. The beard is so much more smooth, and it feels really good, and it also smells good. And also with the biofuel, if you feel like you're someone who has to wash your beard every day, don't go for the shampoo or the wash. Go for the biofuel. Use this as a cleansing, conditioning rinse, and this you can use every day. So if you're someone who feels like you have to wash your beard every day, grab your biofuel, put it in the beard, and use it as a conditioning rinse, rather than shampooing it every single day. So those are some tips for washing the beard.
That's great, Sheb. Would you suggest anything different if it was a 5 o'clock shadow, a very short beard?
No, I mean, actually, if it's a 5 o'clock shadow, you probably don't even washing it once a week was probably going to be perfect, or just using the biofuel, because the 5 o'clock shadow can be really stubbly and really like pokey. So you just using the biofuel as like a cleansing rinse is going to help to really soften those little pokey hairs up, and also help to cleanse the skin as well.
All right, so I have them all crisped up. I put in more of the Con Man. It's my favorite product to blow dry in. It really just makes the beard so soft, and I love putting it on. At Sport Clips, we do hot towels with our shampoos, so I love putting it on a guy's beard and then adding some of the biofuel conditioner with it on top. Put that hot towel on there. When he comes back up, his beard is just going to be so soft and silky. So I put that in there to help give it that straightness when I was blow drying it, because beards are textured. So they do have curls, they do have wave patterns. We want to train these little patches in the corner to go down, not back. So I needed to add some heat to that and some product to start training it. Now, since I've gone in, re-blow dried it, I'm going to do one more freehand float with my shears just to get those stragglers that we may have missed.
Yeah, and that combo is also amazing. The Con Man and the biofuel underneath that hot towel, these two work awesome together. So that's another trick you can use instead of using either of the balms. Sometimes the balms can be a little bit shiny. Some guys love that. Some guys don't really care too much for that. And if that's the case, yeah, these two products work amazing under that hot towel. Really helps to soften that beard up, helps to tame the beard, as well as hydrate the skin. So that's another really cool really cool combination to use under the hot towel. And I always recommend using something on the beard. If you're going to put a hot towel on, you might as well put something on the beard as well. It not only adds to your level of care, but it also lets the guy know, like, oh, they actually care about my beard as well. Like, it adds a little bit more, it adds an extra trust factor there. So you know, if you don't have these right in sight, it's always good to keep an oil at the shampoo bowl, because you can always just grab a little bit of the oil, put it in the beard, and then put the hot towel on top. And no matter what length the beard is, the oil is going to be perfect for it. So if it's a 5 o'clock shadow, grab a little bit of the oil, maybe 1 or 2 pumps, put it in the beard, put that hot towel on top of it, and yeah, and just let it sit there. Even with a 5 o'clock shadow, it's going to make that beard a lot less pokey. And a lot of stylists have said, oh, I make my husband use an oil in his 5 o'clock shadow because it makes it more kissable. So that's another cool selling point, using the oil on really short, scruffy beards. But yeah, always use something under the hot towel. It just adds to the whole experience.
All right, now I have his beard fully trimmed. That's when I get into styling the hair and the beard at the same time. Whatever I'm using on with Gibbs products, they're all good on the beard and the hair. So that's amazing. For his hair, I'm using a little bit of their Showman liquid wax, and it has a high shine. It has a great hold and a high shine, but his hair is more fine on the top. So I like to add a little bit of the matte texture paste in there to dim down the shine. And then once I get that in the hair, I'll rub the rest into his beard to help keep the flyaways down on his cheeks. And I'll go into the length as well, but I don't want to put it, this product I don't want to put into his skin too much, because in the chin area, because it is more sticky, so I don't want it to be too sticky under there. So I just rub it heavy on the cheeks to keep the flyaways down, but then into the beard area, I just rub it on that top layer. That way those flyaways stay down, but it's not going into his skin and making it sticky. We've already put a bunch of Con Man in there, oil, so his skin underneath is super hydrated.
Yeah, and that's a great point, is using, you know, if you're going to use something to kind of tame the hair down, just putting it on top is perfect, especially after you've already put oil and Con Man in the beard itself. Taking something like the Showman water wax and just laying it on top of the hair for that extra control. That's really all you need to do, is put it on top of the hair and not necessarily rub it into the skin like you did with the oil or Con Man. And that was also another cool combination to use in the hair. The Showman water wax is really lightweight. It does have a really nice high shine, but it is great for thinning hair or someone who doesn't have really thick hair, because it's not going to cause separation and it's not going to make it look less thin or less full. So the Showman is a great product to use if someone wants a lot of shine but doesn't want something heavy in their hair. And using the tactical texture fiber paste on top of that, if they don't want all that shine, the tactical texture is perfect to layer on top of that to help to reduce some of that shine as well. So those are some really cool layering combinations that you just mentioned.
All right, and now we have our finished haircuts and beard, and he's ready to go on his bike for the day. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and watching and getting your learn on with us. It was great spending time with you. And I can't wait to be back with you guys and see you guys next time.
Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Yeah, keep doing what you do, and try some of the products out on the beard.
Great job, you guys. I mean, this is Beardology 101. Beards are such a big part of fashion along with our hair, right? So you guys, it just shows with those big beards how cool you can really be on a bike. All right, well, next up, we have our great partners from Shark Fin Shears here, Willie Hyde and Randy Furman. This is Shear Education.
Hello, everybody. Willie here with Shark Fin Shears, Director of Education. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited about what Randy and I are going to be doing for everyone here on the Caravan for you. It's always a pleasure to work with Sport Clips. I'm thrilled to be able to come on with the partners and do education. I encourage you to stick around after my little spot here. Randy's going to come on and his information will wake you up after I bore you to sleep, right? So, and all kidding aside, we're going to talk texture shears today. And the reason I thought that this would be fun to do is because in all the traveling that I do, I always get asked about texture shears and what do you use them for and what are they used for, right? And I think that specifically with Sport Clips, with the efficiency and the consistency that you all want in your haircuts, being able to add a texture shear to your arsenal or to your toolkit will cut down on the time of your haircut, but it'll also help give that consistent look throughout each haircut that you're trying to deliver. So in theory, today's class, I'm just going to make this up. We're going to call it Texture Shears 101, right? Everything you need to know about texture shears. And I want to start off with saying that texture shears is kind of a generic name that most people use for shears that have teeth, regardless of what that teeth count looks like, whether it's 40, 28, 15, 7, or 60. Where it's a texture shear, right? But I like to think of the texture shear and name it in a sense of what it does. So the first shear we're going to start off with is the 40 tooth texturizing shear. So I call that a blending shear. That gives me an idea right off the bat what I'm going to use that shear for. So in short hair, the 40 tooth texture shear is great for taking out lines and barbering, removing weight lines and a little longer hair and barbering. And in long hair, it's fantastic at connecting layers and giving you that seamless connection. So you get that nice sway and texture and movement, but your layers are connected. It's also fantastic in removing bulk. So if you have someone who has a ton of hair, but it's fine to medium coarse, it's fine to medium texture, then the 40 tooth is something that you're going to use on that fine to medium texture so you don't end up with, texture or teeth marks in the hair, right? So 40 tooth, all 40 teeth are on one side of the shear, and I call this a blending shear. Again, just kind of gives you an idea of what you can do with it. In short hair, I'll also use the 40 tooth blending shear for scissor over comb. I have a lot of guests who just, they don't want clippers because they want a little bit of length to the hair and they want that natural texture and movement that comes when you use a shear. So a 40 tooth I would use in short hair, scissor over comb the entire haircut to give that texture and movement. And again, I would do that in fine to medium textured hair, okay? One thing I am going to do for everyone today is I'm going to actually show you what this looks like in the hair. Because a lot of times I think we get caught up on, what's the percentage of hair that the shear removes, or what are we doing with it? And sometimes the easiest thing to do is just show you what the finish looks like in hair. So you'll see with a 40 tooth, I'm going to go right in here. I'm going to move out of the way. This will be the hardest part of this class, gang, is getting in a position where you can see what we're doing. So you'll see, just put it in comb it out, and look, when I go back in here, you can't see it because the line is so fine, but right there is my line and it's nice and blended, right? So I'll do it one more time. 40 tooth blending shear, short hair, taking out weight, removing lines. So you can see that line in there right across in front of my finger. It's very, very soft and very, very subtle. So that's what we want whenever we're blending out lines, removing bulk and weight, or connecting layers. We just want that subtle connection. That is the 40 tooth texturizing shear. So the next texturizer we're going to talk about is the 28 tooth. The 28 tooth, what you'll see is it's the same length shear. We just have 28 teeth instead of 40. So what that shear is going to do is there's going to be more space in between the teeth, which is going to do what? It's going to give you a completely different feel and look than the 40 tooth blender. So what I use this shear for, scissor over comb. I love a 28 tooth texturizing shear for scissor over comb on all of my barbering. As long as they don't have very thin or fine hair, a 28 tooth is safe. And when I say that, I mean, I literally replace my cutting shear with the 28 tooth texturizer, and I just do the entire haircut shear over comb. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful tool to add to the arsenal. It's gonna leave that length. It's gonna leave texture and movement within the hair. And right now, something that we're seeing a huge uptick in is texture and movement. So that's also something you can add to the game. So short hair, I'm going to be doing shear over comb the entire haircut so I can add movement and weight. In long hair, I'm going to use it to debulk coarse or thick hair. If somebody comes in and they have a ton of hair, and no matter how long you spend debulking or relieving weight, they come in the next time and they're like, it's just heavy, it's just heavy, it's just heavy. So a 28 tooth is fantastic for making that happen in long hair, medium to coarse, okay? So again, when we come in here, I know it's difficult, family, to see this, but I think it's important you see how much harsher that line is when you take the hair out. Oh, so you see the line right above my finger, yeah? And one thing I want to mention too, while we're talking about texture shears, the sign of a fantastic texture shear is that you can put it in the hair, close it, pull the shear out of the hair as if it's the comb, and you have no snagging or catching or anything like that. So if you want a good idea of how well your texture shear is, or how well a texture shear is before you buy it, this is what I recommend. Put the shear in, close it, and then the shear is the comb, everybody. I can't tell you how long I did hair. I would comb the hair, I would open, close, take the shear out, and then use the comb to take the hair out. Again, we're talking about efficiency. We're talking about getting through haircuts in a certain amount of time, doing it accurately and efficiently, and giving an outstanding look to your client. So let's make sure that we understand how to use our tools, or how to figure out what tool's best for us. So that's the 28 tooth. And you'll see what happens with the 28 tooth is it goes from removing bulk or weight to actually cutting hair. So if you're somebody who does, if you have someone who comes in and has a little longer hair and they want like that textured bob, and you want to go in and get that texture and movement at the end, you could use a 28 tooth texture shear for that entire haircut. It's a really neat way to add texture and softness to those bobs. So that's the 28 tooth shear. Next up, they start to get a little scary from here. Next up is the 15 tooth. I love this shear for multiple uses. In short hair, we have a haircut called Oscar. He's a French crop. So it's short, inside a long, inside a short, inside a long. So the entire top of this haircut, texture and weight, has been done with a 15 tooth texturizer. Also, family, you'll see here, Oscar has a little bit of length to his sides and back. This entire haircut was done with the 28 tooth texturizer, okay? So it's a wonderful thing to have in the toolkit. The 15 tooth, two things I use it for the two things in short hair that I use it for mostly is crops, textured, messy, whether it's forward or to the side, and then also pompadours, textured pompadours and pixies. It's a wonderful tool to add texture in short hair. And in long hair, it's a fantastic tool to remove bulk and weight. I know we've all seen it, that guest who comes in, sits down, and they have more hair than we know what to do with. And at the end, we're trying to debulk to soften it so it's not so heavy. With a 40 tooth, takes forever. 28 tooth, it's a little bit quicker. Let's get in there with a tool that's going to allow you to cut once, maybe twice at most, and you're done. So we're not in there overworking the hair, and we're not in there overworking ourselves. Again, we're talking efficiency, right? So that's the 15 tooth texturizer. You'll see it's the same length shear, but now we're starting to get rather large teeth and a rather large space in between those teeth. This is where you're really going to start seeing lines in the hair. So especially with long hair, you want to be careful as to how you're using it. But what's going to happen is, let's go in here and look. You'll see that movement that comes out of there with the 15 tooth. I'm going to do it one more time, and then I'm going to show you on the dry side as well. I think it's nice to see what it looks like in dry hair as well as wet hair. But you see when that's coming out, you see the texture that's in between the teeth and how it removes it. So it's just nice and soft, believe it or not, but it removes hair in a really cool way, okay? So real quick, I'll show you on the dry side because it's going to be a little easier. Ready? So you see more how that's removing. And what's important with this shear is what we're leaving behind. You see on that second cut, quite literally, you can start to see the teeth come out and the lines and the spaces that it's giving you. So what does short hair do to long hair? It pushes it. So if we want to create volume, which creates texture and movement, that's what we're talking about here with the 15 tooth. Textured pixies, textured pompadours, textured crops. This is an amazing, amazing shear. This is going to give you a little better idea. So you see that space in there as it comes out. So that's your 15 tooth texturizing shear. And then the 7 tooth, or the chunking shear is what I call it, right? Everyone's like, what in the world would you ever use that for? When I was behind the chair full time, I had maybe a handful of guests who I use this shear on. And it's all about texture and movement. It's all about understanding that short hair pushes long hair and what it's going to do inside of a shape. Inside of short hair, what's it going to do? It's going to give you that messy, textured, cropped, looked finish, right? So if I wanted this to be even chunkier, to remove even more hair and leave it in a bigger space inside of that shape, then I could have gone to the 7 tooth texturizing shear. But for me, for the crop, that 15 tooth does it. What you'll find though is the 15 tooth will do the same thing as the 7. It just takes a couple of cuts. The 15 tooth will do the same as the 28. With a 28, it just takes a couple more cuts and an understanding of how to use the shear to get the same result. A 40 tooth texturizer and a 28, you can get the same result with a 40. It just takes opening and closing the shear more times. So again, going back to talking about efficiency, that's what we're talking about, is understanding what's the best tool to get the result I want and with the least amount of work. And I don't mean that from a lazy perspective. I mean it from a perspective of, I have another guest waiting and another guest after that and after that. So I have a time, a certain time frame to run on. So the 7-tooth, textured pixies, textured crops. And then, you know, if you had someone who had a very thick, coarse textured hair and you needed to remove bulk from like the occipital down, you could use this shear because you're going to have all that other hair sitting over the top of what you debulked or removed weight from. So I very rarely use this shear for that purpose. Again, my go-to for that is generally the 15, but if someone does have a ton of hair and it's thick and coarse, you could go to the 7. And then of course, you know, we'll see what the 7-tooth looks like in the hair here, and there's going to be no surprise here. You know, it's going to show immediately. Look at that, right? You see those lines, but what short hair do to long hair? It pushes it. So if we want to create volume in the crown, if we're doing, you know, anything for that matter that we want volume in the crown, a 15-tooth, a 7-tooth, that's going to help release that weight and give us that push in the crown or wherever we want that volume, even throughout the entire top of the head. So we just want to understand short hair pushes long hair. Give me one moment here. So short hair pushes long hair. So when we start removing that, what are we doing? We're just giving more volume and more push. So that is the 7-tooth. I really consider this a specialty tool. There's a purpose for it and a time for it, but this is one of those ones that, you know, it becomes more about what am I using it for, and do I have the right guess up to use the shear on? Okay, so that's the 7. And then the last one we're going to talk about today, we're almost done here, fantastic, is our eraser. So this is a shear we came out with maybe, wow, I guess because the pandemic, it's been over 2 years ago. But what we have here is we have a double-sided texture shear. So we have teeth on both sides. So what does that mean? When we have more teeth and we're cutting from both sides, what's that mean? It's removing more hair, but it's leaving an even softer finish than a 40-tooth texturizer, right? So I know you couldn't see the lines with the 40 in the hair. You're definitely not going to be able to see it with the 60. But one great thing about this shear is it goes from removing, even more so than the 40 and the 28, it goes from removing bulk and weight to cutting the hair very easily. So again, shear over comb, if we have barbering guests that want to keep that length and want that texture and movement to the haircut, then this is a shear you could go to simply for scissor over comb, right? Also that guest with the bob, if they had more hair, if they were more in like the medium to thick texture, then instead of using that 28 to create that softness at the bottom and movement, I would go right in and finish all my length with the eraser, or the, you know, it's a 60-tooth, okay? So it's a fantastic tool to add to the arsenal, whether you do short hair, long hair, or anything in between. And it really gives like a finish to the ends like you would get with a razor as well. So, you know, that softness, that movement, that thinness at the ends that you may want to get that movement in certain styles of haircuts. So that is the eraser. Do we have any questions?
Yes, Willie, we do have a question actually. Daisy wants to know what shears would be best for point cutting.
Point cutting? So that's a preference, right? All of our shears will cut wet cut, dry cut, point cut, slide cut. The better the metal, stick around for Randy, he's going to go more into this, I believe. The better the metal, the better they're going to do those things. So point cutting is all about comfortability, right? So if you say what shear is the best at point cutting, I'm going to tell you our Monarch, because it's the best Japanese Hitachi steel in the world, which means it's going to cut like butter. Okay. With that said, family, every line of shears that we have is hand forged, hand welded, Japanese Hitachi and Aichi steel. So it's the best steels in the world. So all of our shears will point cut. Great question.
All right, we have one other question. How many teeth are on the eraser?
So want to count together? No, so it's 60. 60. I believe it's 30 on each side. And if I'm wrong, I'll happily let Whitney or Felicia or Stacia know, and they can send that information out. But it's a 60, right? And what that means is it's 20 more teeth than the 40. So it's going to finish in a very similar way. It's just going to remove a little bit more hair, and it's going to leave a much softer line. So you see there the teeth on both sides versus, one of our regular texture shears where the teeth is just on one side. Great question. So just briefly in closing before I hand it over to Randy, if someone was to say to me, hey, listen, I'm not going to buy 5 texture shears, what do you recommend? What would you recommend for the 2, right? And here's what I would recommend. I would recommend a 40 and a 15. Okay, because that 40 is going to be a little more useful in other haircuts versus the eraser. Okay, so I'm going to be able to use it for more things than I would for the eraser. The eraser is mostly removing lines, blending lines, giving texture and movement at the ends. Okay, where with the 28, excuse me, there's so many. I'm sorry, with the 40, there are so many other things you can do with that shear. And then of course the 15. The 15 is all about texture, right? So we want to be able to add that texture, remove that bulk and weight. So I always like to finish these classes by saying, we understand that not everyone wants or needs 5 texture shears. We just want you to know how and why you would use the 40, how and why you would use the 28, how and why you would use the 15, the 7, or the eraser. And then we want you to just go out and do your thing, right? Make what you do every day as simple and happy and as efficient as possible. Any other questions?
One more question, Willie. Can you use these for refinement?
Yes, definitely, without a doubt. So you can if someone would like to expand on what they mean by refinement, that would be great in case I'm thinking something different. But if I want to go in and refine a beard or refine the edges or the outline of a haircut, it's a wonderful tool. You can turn it vertical and you can point cut, right? So you can point cut with that same shear, a 40 or a 28, turn it vertical, and you can go in and refine edges, soften around the ears, soften around the outline of the haircut, whatever it is. So 100% yes, it can be used that way.
Great, thank you, Willie.
Fantastic question, my pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to come on. If you have any questions or you need anything, feel free. You can find me on Instagram, sharkfin_Willie, WILLY. It was a pleasure seeing everybody today, and I'm going to pass it over to Randy. Thanks for having me.
Randy, if you, oh, there you are.
Okay, are we live?
Just a second. Yes.
Yes. Hey, everybody. Sorry about a little bit of technical difficulty. I'm Randy Furman. I'm the CEO and founder of Shark Fin Shears. We are so excited to be here and be part of this caravan, and we really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to learn some new things. So, excuse me. My section is really going to be about what I'm passionate about everything, but more about the ergonomics, the how the shear works, the technical side of it. And, I could talk for hours and hours. What I'm going to focus on, and depending how much time we have left, we'll see if I can get into what Willie talked about, the how, what, where of the shear. But what I want to first start out with is what we get asked all the time at trade shows, or we get phone calls. And 2 most important things: if you can't maintain your shear, if it doesn't work properly, obviously you're out of business. So the first 2 things we're going to talk about is proper blade tension and disinfecting and lubricating. And why is that important? Any quality shear, and I can only talk about Shark Fin, but there's a lot of other great brands out there. With shark fin, you'll get a year or longer between sharpenings. And even though a lot of you guys out there are doing, you might be doing 10, 15, I don't know how many haircuts a day, but a lot more than maybe a regular salon, it's that much more important to make sure that you have proper blade tension and disinfect and lubricate. Why? Because we've had people go, and we've been selling through Sport Clips for probably over 10 or 15 years now. We've gotten emails from you guys saying, hey, it's been 3 years, 4 years, 5 years between my last sharpening. I know it sounds crazy, but it is the disinfecting and lubricating part and blade tension that will take you from getting your shears sharpened every 3 or 6 months, which you shouldn't, or 9 months, or at least 1 year should be the least amount of time, or 2 or 3 or 4 years. So proper blade tension is really simple. You need to check it once a day, okay? Not every other day, not once a week, every day, and it's very simple. So we all know this is called the adjustment knob, right? Okay, I can't see the screen shaking, but you guys are shaking your heads, okay? Everybody thinks that their hand does the cutting, right? Your hand steers. So what does the cutting? Loosening or tightening this adjustment knob. So again, remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. I always feel stupid saying it, silly. So I'm going to loosen this knob. Okay, this is a right-handed shear. I'm left-handed, but just to make it simple. And what you want to do is start with your shear loose, so your blades are slapping shut. Okay, and what's going to take the shear from not cutting to cutting is every time you click, and our shears have a click system, so you can feel it. You want to adjust it until you bring the blades together where they're barely touching, and it's going to go from folding or bending the hair to cutting. So I'm going to start this way. Okay, slapping shut, right? So I'm going to go one click to the right, righty tighty, still slapping shut. Another one, okay, another one. Now I can already see it's almost dragging. So there you go. You guys see that? Now what you want is still a little too loose because you have maybe 1/8 of an inch at the tips. So you want to go and you want to bounce it. Now sometimes I just oil these so you can shake it to see. So that's close. We're going to go one more. That's properly adjusted. Now this is about 85% to get your shear properly adjusted. Now if you want to do it 100%, because you have that tool in your hand every day, every second you're there, in the store. So what you want to do is it's nice and loose, still it feels smooth. I'm going to go righty tighty, one more click. Still smooth, one more click. What I'm doing is I'm pulling the blades together till they start to drag, and that's going to tell me it's too tight. So I feel a little resistance. I'm going to go tighter. One more. Now it's really dragging. Now watch this. When I lift it open, it's going to hang open. So that tells us it's too tight. So if you want to get really granular and get it 100%, you would go back 1 to 3 clicks. Okay, it's nice and smooth. I'm checking it here. Now you do this with a clean blade, obviously, right? Don't check blade tension when you have, whether it's product on the blade or hair follicles, whatever. So you check that once a day, every day. I just went and tightened it one more, and I'm shaking it again because it's sometimes it'll hang up if you have too much oil. I didn't take all the oil off. Okay, so that's proper blade tension. Check it once a day, every day. I don't care if you're working next to the top hairstylist in the world and they go, oh, I do that once a month. Good for them, because our shears will last you in excess of 20 years, easy. Because remember, the better care you take of your blades, your shears, blade tension, disinfecting, lubricating, the longer they'll last you. Before I go to disinfecting and lubricating, we have a network of, and I'm not trying to sell sharpen at all, this is just strictly generic, but we do have a network of certified sharpeners throughout the country. Why do we do this? Most sharpeners will ruin your blades, and they'll tell you they didn't do it, somebody else did it. Other shear companies don't do this because if you have to buy new shears every 3 to 4 or 5 years, good for the shear company. Our philosophy is give you the best quality that we can, teach you how to take care of them. And by the way, there's a ton of great free how-to videos on our website. Just go to education tab, click on that. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Excuse me. So we want your shears to last you 20, 25, forever. You can pass them on to the next person, but it's really important that you give it to somebody that knows what they're doing. So if you have a sharpener that you use and they're not certified by us, have them call us. We'll get them certified so you can use them. But the reason you want to use a certified sharpening sharpener, if they ruin your blades, and it's happened twice in about 20 years, if we can't fix what they did, we send you a brand new pair for free. Isn't that really cool, right? It's the right way to. I've set up my company where, first of all, we're a family. We only mentioned that a number of times, and we are a big family. and I want to treat you guys the way I expect to be treated as a customer. So part of it is your responsibility, disinfecting and lubricating blade tension. Part of it is making sure a sharpener knows what they're doing. So if somebody comes in, says, I'll see you every 3 months, say, hey, if you want to have coffee, come on in. But I'll call you, Mary or John, whomever, when my shears need to be sharpened. The less that you sharpen them, and if there's no nicks or chips, all they're doing is bringing the edge back up, the longer they're going to last you. Okay, so, all right, so now let's talk about disinfecting and lubricating. We all know that legally you have to disinfect and lubricate your blades. So when you disinfect your blades, whatever you're going to use, you can use rubbing alcohol, any type of disinfectant, okay? Never take and submerge your blades in barbicide or any kind of liquid, all right? Because even, Willie mentioned our Monarch shear, but we have a new line we're going to be coming out with in the near future, which is Damascus, which when they make Japanese swords, they normally use Damascus steel, or any of your high-end knives are Damascus. From other companies, you're looking at $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, believe it or not, for a shear. But if you submerge that in water, guess what? And you leave it wet, it's going to rust. So anything, even though it's stainless steel, it's going to rust. Okay, so never submerge your blades. What you want to do is, if you're using a spray, you can just spray the blades on both sides, or you can spray a paper towel and just basically wipe off, okay? Wipe off. If you notice I'm pulling, we're going to go over that in a minute. I'm not going to move my hand because I'll take a big chunk out of my thumb, okay? So once you've disinfected your blades, well, you've also stripped off all the lubricant. The best way to think about this, think about your car. Hopefully you check the motor oil every now and then in your engine. Or if you don't and it runs low on oil, what are you going to do? You're going to blow up the motor. It's the same thing with the shear. The blades need to be very lightly lubricated after every client. This is the same thing. It's not every other client. It's not once a day. It's not once a week. We've had people, I think the longest I've gotten an email about a person had their shears over 10 years and never had them sharpened. It sounds crazy. I just tell everybody a year. That you should be getting at least a year longer with any of our shears. If you're not, please call us. We've got a great customer service team. We'll walk you through. We'll see what you're doing. We'll explain to you what you need to be doing, and then you shouldn't have any issues after that. Okay, so let's just make believe we've disinfected the blades. We've wiped them off so they're nice and dry. So to lubricate, what you're going to do is, with us, we give you an oil pen. It's got a little top on it so it doesn't spill inside your case. And what you can do is take a paper towel, an old cotton cloth, a t-shirt, a sock, and keep it at your station, okay? Lightly, just put some lubricant there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. It's kind of hard on the white. There's some, you can see I'm putting the lubricant right there, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna open the blades. We're gonna fold it over. And this is really important. If you don't do it, I'm telling you, you're only gonna do what you did once, I promise you. You never move your thumb, okay? You pinch and you pull. So you don't move the hand with the lubricant. You move your hand holding the shear. Pinch and pull, flip it over, pinch and pull. And you can look at the blade like I'm looking, I can see I put too much oil. I'm gonna pinch and pull again. I'm turning it. I'm gonna pinch and pull again. To show you without the cloth, if I pinch and pull and I can not even look, I can't cut myself because I'm moving this hand. But if I pinch, I'm not going to do it because I won't cut myself, and move this hand, there's a good chance I roll my thumb or my index finger and I take, we're on the way to the emergency room, okay? Do that after every client. How long will it take, guys? Get in the habit of having a cloth saturated with scissor oil. And this, as I'm talking, I'm thinking, you probably think this is pretty boring. But think about it. If you can't use your shear, you're out of work, you can't make money, it's a bad situation. And unfortunately, a lot of you guys, when you were in school, your instructors were never taught this. So and whoever taught them was never taught this. It's this cycle that never gets broken. So hopefully I'm breaking that for you today. And again, if we didn't care, we wouldn't tell you this, because the quicker, quicker your shear wears out, the quicker you have to buy a new one. I'm here standing here telling you, do these things and they'll last you your whole career. And what's cool about us, the warranty goes with the shear. So let's say, John, retires in 22 years and he still has a shark fins and he gives it to his daughter or a friend, that warranty goes with the shear. And as long as they've been maintained by a sharp sharpener, it's just like he was the original purchaser, which again is pretty cool. You know, for us, it's always about you guys. It's never been about the money. It's about doing the right thing. And I think all of you that are, you know, building your book, you see, you do the right thing, the money comes. If you focus on the money, it's kind of like building a house with a really weak foundation. So let's talk about weekly maintenance. So, and this is where you want to be a little careful. There is a video online now on our website, how to take a shear apart and put it back together. Because I'm sure some of you guys are shaking your heads going, yeah, I've taken it apart and I missed parts, I lost parts. If it ever happens, call us, we'll send you whatever you need. So basically what you want to do, just to make sure, is put your index finger underneath the adjustment knob on the back, okay? Just in case you loosen it too much, I'm going to loosen it where it's clanking, okay? And I'm not doing it real hard because if you really loosen it, you could pop that knob off, but can you guys hear that? It's clanking? Okay. Mallory was filming me, said, yep, I can hear it. Okay, so what you're going to want to do once a week, now if you're really comfortable and you want to take it apart, that's the best thing to do. It's a lot easier than you think, but we're not going to take this one apart. So what I want to do is open up the blades, and I want to get some scissor oil in here. You get that now? Yeah, okay. Some scissor oil up here, because I want to get to the pivot area, and I want to work it back and forth to loosen any product, any hair follicles that might be stuck in there from a week's worth of cutting. Okay, and then what you're going to do is just take a paper towel. I'm just going to rip this. Doesn't have to be pretty, just has to work. And I'm going to get it in between. Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, and I'm just doing this more just for you guys to see, but get it in there in between and just push those follicles out. Okay, and then tighten it back up again, get your proper blade tension. I'm going to check it real quick. That's one too tight. And then you may have to, the first cut or two, maybe pushing out more follicles, you know, as you're cutting, if you didn't do a great job, you know, cleaning it the way I showed you. Also, if you happen to use a swivel, as needed, so you don't get crazy with oil in it here and under the screw head every day or every week. The way you can tell the swivel is properly adjusted, when you hold it at 12 o'clock, it should freely just want to fall. This shouldn't wobble a lot. It can wobble a little bit. If it does, you can tighten it up here with just a regular flathead screwdriver. Make sure the screwdriver is almost the same thickness as the opening there, or it's going to want to walk itself out. Okay, and that's really it. And any questions ever, whether it's, I don't care what brand of shear you have, you can still call us, we're going to help. Okay, so just to recap on blade tension, once a day, every day, disinfecting and lubricating. You know, I can't force you, I guess, to do either of them, but especially on the lubricating effort, every client, especially a lot of you guys are doing volume. So you want to make sure you keep your blades at the sharpest, you know, the sharpest they can be on a daily basis. If you're not getting at least a year out of your sharpens, you need to call us. And when we say something that you're doing, we're not trying to, you know, punish you or say you're a bad, you know, you're a bad person. We just want to let you know what you're not doing correct, have you fix it so you get 1, 2, 3, 4 years out of your shears. Okay. Okay, let's talk about which I think is really important. We talk about ergonomics, swivel, okay, versus a non-swivel. Okay, I don't cut hair, so don't make fun of me if I'm doing this stuff wrong. I just invented this, the product. So the reason I always, if you come to our booth at a show, all of my coworkers are instructed, even if you say, I don't want to see a swivel, you come up here like this, and we're still going to show you a swivel. Why? Because we're the expert, not you. And you don't go to your doctor and say, let me tell you what's wrong with me, you know, and then what do you need the doctor for? So I feel like we have a fiduciary responsibility to tell you what's right. After that, still want a non-swivel, it's still the best non-swivel out there in the market from an ergonomic standpoint. But at least you can't come back and say, well, they didn't show me the swivel because maybe your coworker bought one. So if you're going to do a blunt cut, and obviously this is a ready shirt in my left hand, we all agree this is a blunt cut, right? My shoulder's up, my elbow's up, my wrist is bent because I'm going to do a straight line, and I'm going to do that. Well, check this out with a swivel. I'm going to hold this just to over embellish. My elbow and shoulder came all the way down. Okay, look at my wrist, it's straight, but the blades are still in the same position. So do you want to scissor like this all day? Now, right now, if all you guys put your elbow at your side, just as I'm talking, we believe you're blunt cutting. Just do that while I'm talking. And we have little microchips and all them, so we know who's not married. Do it right now. Okay. So anyway, from here to here, what's more comfortable? Obviously, much more ergonomically correct. Okay. I know it's all men's haircuts, but if you're doing friends or whatever, girls, you know, whatever you're doing, if you do it on the side for slide cut, if you're going to slide cut, normally it's like this. Again, my elbows up, my shoulders up. And so instead of this, watch this. As soon as I'm going to make a fist, look what happens. It forces me to drop my shoulder and elbow, and now I can slide this way. So everything you use should be a swivel. I will tell you, it takes up 30 days to retrain the nerves and tendons in your hand. On average, I'd say a week to 2 weeks, but it could be, I've had people go exactly 30 days. I've had some customers call and say, hey, I want to switch back to the non-swivel. I'm so passionate, I gave them an extra 30 days, and then they got used to it. But on average, it's approximately a couple weeks, but it does take up to 30 days. If you pick up your old shear for just one haircut, let's say 2 weeks, and you go, let me just try my old one again. Guess what? You have to start at zero again. So it's a medical fact. Muscle memory takes up to 30 days to retrieve the nerves and tendons in your hand. If you are using shark fin, another cool thing, I don't know if you can show these. So we have a scissor bending system. We have different colors. Like if it's a pink shear, it'll be pink and clear. Black will be clear and black. Blue is blue and black. So we have different colors. It's really important to make sure you properly custom fit the shear to your exact ring finger and thumb diameter. We have that video on our website. Every shark fin comes with a scissor fitting diagram, how to use it. Why is that important? Think about a shoe on your foot that's too big. If you're going to walk in that shoe, you'd have to bend your toes, right? And if for those of you that get pain in your hand, wrist, elbow, shoulder, neck, I promise you it's because the shear isn't fitted properly. A properly fitted shear belongs between your first and second knuckle, okay? Back far enough that your pinky rests comfortably on the finger rest. And if you notice, it's not a screw-on tang because they fall off all the time. So everything we make is from a functional standpoint. We don't make a screw-on finger rest because they fall off. The bumpers are screw-on bumpers because those things fall off all the time. I'm not going to tell you our bumper will never fall off, it will almost never, because we quality control everything before it goes out the door. So that's where it belongs for your ring finger. So if, let's say this was too loose, I would pop one of the extra sizers in, and these are patented, by the way. We invented these to make it where it's not tight, but it's not overly loose, because the shear should float in your hand. On your thumb, it should be up to your cuticle, but not up to or over your knuckle. And the same thing, we have different sizers to fit. So again, it's really simple, but call us and you might go, oh, it feels too tight. Probably because your shear is not fitted properly. So if you fit it the way we're telling you, and then it allows you to relax your grip, okay? So how much time do we have left? Another 4 minutes? Okay, I'm gonna do this real quick, guys, because I think it's really important. And then I have a code for you guys too for some great discounts. There's 3 handle designs. I'm gonna do it really quick. Mel, can you see this down here? Okay, this is what's called an opposing grip. That means the thumb handle is opposing or opposite the ring finger, okay? That's been around forever. And then, I don't know, 50, 100 years ago, they came out with what's called an offset. So we're gonna move the thumb forward. And then every shear that shark fin makes is what's called a full offset or a crane design. So let's do a quick test real quick. I want everybody to take your thumb and touch, well, first take your one hand and touch the meat under your thumb, okay? Now touch your ring finger. Do you guys feel how tight it is here? That's an opposing grip. So worst handle design in the world. If you have them, call me, I'll come take them away from you. Okay, it's horrible. Now, and again, you were never taught this in school. Now touch your middle finger, that's an offset, it's better, right? Now touch your index finger. Do you feel all that stress and tension went away? That's the only handle you should buy, whether it's from us or any other company. If you relax your hand and shake it, where's your thumb? It's underneath your index finger. It's full offset or crane design. It's not underneath your ring finger. So when you go to buy a shear, whatever brand, I don't care what they tell you, whatever you think feels comfortable, get one where the thumb is moved all the way forward so it takes all the pressure off the nerves and tendons, okay, in your hand, which then telegraphs into the rest of your body. So I could talk to you guys for hours and hours and hours. There are a lot of great videos online. Please check them out. What's the difference between stainless and titanium? Why are my shears folding and bending the hair? All kinds of stuff that we've been asked over the last 21 years. So any questions, please let us know. Also, through the end of June, I wasn't gonna pressure you guys for the next 24 or 48 hours. If you go to our website, anything you want to purchase, if you use code Caravan20, you'll get 20% off of anything on our website. Feel free to share it with friends that you have. We don't have a problem with that. Please, any questions you have, or actually, Stacia, are there any questions you have for me?
I do, Randy, one question, just to
That's it?
clarify. We're gonna
Okay.
oil the blades every day and oil tension screw once a week. Is that correct?
No, we're gonna check blade tension once a day, and we're gonna lubricate the blades after every client. After every client, because think about it, when you cut the hair, you're taking off microscopic amounts of the lubricant, and then when the lubricant's gone, guess what's coming off next? Microscopic amounts of the metal. So blade tension once a day, disinfect and lubricate after every client.
Perfect, Randy. Thank you so much for being here today. You guys are such a great partnership with Sport Clips. Willie, thank you for all the education, and Randy, thank you.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you all as well.
Welcome back from break, everyone. I've had a great morning. I don't know about you guys. I've learned a lot, but it's only going to get better from here on out. So I'm honored to present our next guest. We have John Mosley from John Paul Mitchell Systems and Pauline Pryor from the Sport Clips Artistic Team.
John Paul and Paul, my father, really created something amazing.
Paul Mitchell to me is a family.
Paul Mitchell, the man, and the company was created to support the hairdresser, the professional.
If Paul were here today, we'd be celebrating our 40th year mark.
When I think about my father and where the company is today, I just know that he would be so amazingly breathtaking with how the company has truly evolved.
But Paul Mitchell represents professional hairstylists, so that when people think of Paul Mitchell, they associate the name Paul Mitchell with the finest in professional hairstyling.
We have a young team of scientists that really love the industry and are dedicated to bringing you the best products in cosmetic science. Where our ingredients come from is really important to us. Our awapui is sourced from our own solar-powered awapui farm on the Big Island of Hawaii. Our marula oil is sourced from Africa from a fair trade cooperative. And we're proud to say again that our tea tree oil comes from Australia. And Paul Mitchell Clean Beauty will feature a sugarcane-based bio-resin in the packaging. With today's technologies, it's possible to make products that you couldn't even do 10 years ago.
We never have tested on animals, never will.
John Paul Mitchell System has taught me that the little things that you can do can really benefit the planet.
Well, sustainability has always been a huge part of the heart of JPMS.
We already have over 1,000 solar panels that are on our distribution center in Santa Clarita. We're also committing to reduce our corporate carbon footprint by planting 1 million trees by 2022. Two environmental organizations JPMS has been working with for a number of years. One is the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, whose job it is to protect the marine life throughout the globe. And the second one is the Waterkeeper Alliance, and they actually patrol 2.7 million square miles of waterways looking for industrial polluters.
We are a company that does well by doing good. How many companies can you think of that can walk the walk and talk the talk?
We can't keep robbing from Mother Earth and expect something for our future generations. It's our responsibility.
Companies are going to get larger. It's going to really get big. I don't think either John Paul or myself have one moment's hesitation to say that we will definitely be the largest company in the beauty industry.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for attending our caravan. We are so glad to have you. So first, let me introduce my model. My model here that I have with me today is Nakia. Nakia is one of my best friends. She actually is my best friend. We went to hair school together. So she's a fellow hairstylist with us. We've done this hair journey together. So thank you, Nakia, so much for doing this for us. We greatly appreciate it, greatly appreciate it. So what we're gonna do with Nakia today, we are going to give her a low taper. Keep her low, keep it nice, keep it feminine, line her up really nicely. We're gonna keep the majority of the length on top. She's gonna lock it back up, right? So we're just gonna shape her up, get rid of some of her stragglers that we have, and give her a nice little clean, feminine cut. So what we've done so far is I prepped Nakia by shampooing her with a moisturizing shampoo and a conditioner. If you know, anytime you're dealing with hair that has texture to it, with a tight curl or a looser curl, we always wanna make sure that we are adding moisture to that hair. It's like moisture, moisture, moisture. It's like almost like you can't add too much moisture, right? So before I get started with her good, we're gonna get her caked up. I'm gonna add a little bit of leave-in, and then I'm gonna begin to pick her out. After I pick her, then I'm gonna start to shape her with, I'm gonna add an attachment, start the beginning shape of her haircut and get started. So what's my buddy John over there doing?
Pauline, John is having some trouble getting on, so we're just gonna head over. Yeah, you take it away.
I'll just go for it. You guys give me the high sign when he's good, okay? So right now, I'm just adding a little bit of leave-in conditioner to her right quick, because again, we're talking today. We're talking about embracing that texture and loving those curls, right? And sometimes we don't love that natural curl because we don't really know what to do with it. So like I told you earlier, adding some moisture. So Nakia has a very tight curl, a very tight curl. So I'm adding this leave-in conditioner on her hair because I want to make sure that when I pick it out, that I'm not causing her any type of discomfort at all. And my friend is very tender-headed. So she's going to try to refrain from some of the faces that she would normally have when I cut her hair.
Pauline, is this a wet haircut or a blow-dried haircut?
This is gonna be a dry cut. When I cut with curls, I'm gonna always cut it dry. Well, I won't say always, but the majority of the time, we're gonna do it dry. And the reason why is because when that hair is wet, right? What does it do? When it dries up, that curl is gonna shrink. I don't wanna take the chances of her hair being shorter than what she will want. And I actually, when the curl is tight like this, when I cut, I wanna see what that hair is gonna look like in its natural state. Not what it's going to, not hope that it looks right after it dries. So we're just picking her out very lightly. For those of us who are not really comfortable or not familiar with doing textured hair, what I do with this pick, I just bring it in to the root and I bring it out gently. Bring it in and bring it out gently. Sometimes we want to rake through the hair. You don't want to rake through it. That's going to make your client very uncomfortable. But the first thing to do, prep it with some leave-in conditioner. Some people use a little water. Nothing's wrong with water, but with Nakia's texture, water is not necessarily our friend. We rather use something that has some more moisture to it than just water. Add a little bit of a chemical to it to just soften it up. So I have her picked out now. And then I'm gonna go in with my attachment. And I want to just get the basic shape. Now, I don't always use an attachment, but I am with Nakia because, again, I want to make sure that I preserve that length that we have on top because she, like I said, she wants to grow it out and I want to give her a low fade. So I'm going to go in with my attachment and just get my basic shape. I'm going to start right here at the temple. Now with this attachment, I'm not taking very much off. That's on purpose. Again, I kind of want to see where I am. And I'm starting at that temple because I wanted to now begin, when I start fading, I want to begin to fade low.
Pauline, can you tell us what guard you're starting with?
I started with a guard that's going to leave about 3/8 of an inch, so it's going to be a number 3. Again, it's not taking very much hair off. I've done that purposely. Can you look up for me, please? Thank you. Perfect. So I'm getting the basic shape in now. Just getting that basic shape in, and then I'll begin to fade down. Now, a lot of us as stylists and barbers, you can fade up or down. My comfort zone, I like to fade down just because when I fade up, for whatever reason, I get real happy with it, you guys. I get happy and my fade always goes up too high, right? So I like to give myself a starting point and then bring my fade down. Can I do both? Yeah, I can do both. I just prefer to fade down. All right. Got that basic shape in. You can see how just that attachment already started giving us some shape. Right in this area, just take it up just a little bit. Nakia's hair gets very, very thick right around the parietal ridge. Right around here, she's very thick. Her hair is thick anyway. All right, I think we're there. Perfect. So again, I started off with my number 3 or guard that leaves 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to go ahead and go down to a 2. Like I said, I'm just going to fade down. I'm just being extra careful just to make sure, because Nakia, also because we're best friends, so I understand her hair. She has some areas in here, a little bit of a troubled areas. And so I don't want to get that too close. So I want to make sure that I'm protecting that area that could be a little bit sensitive for her. Again, keeping this very, very low. I think my best friend went in here and cut her hair without me because I see some uneven areas, but we won't talk about that right now. Her and I will have that discussion a little bit later. So again, thank you guys so much for joining our caravan today. Boy, this is such a great honor to be in front of you guys, having the opportunity to give you guys this education. One of the things I love about Sport Clips is the fact that we have continued education. Quite frankly, I was one of those people who came straight out of beauty school, had never really held any clippers in my hands at all, you guys, really hadn't. I really learned how to do haircuts on Sport Clips floor, but we had the opportunity to go and do some of the free education that they give us. And that's where my skills, I really developed my skills. I took advantage of it. I learned everything that they were willing to teach me. And now, look, I'm on the National Artistic Team. So I'm really proud of that. But I wouldn't have been able to do it if I hadn't taken advantage of the education that they offered us.
Pauline, we are happy to announce that we've got John here now. Hey, John.
My buddy. All right, perfect. Buddy, take it over.
I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We got you, John.
Hear you now.
All right, we in this thing. Hey, P-Funk, my bad. We was trying to get it together, P-Funk, and I'm here.
All right, okay, Dr. J.
So this is what you guys watching. I just want to say my apologies for trying to get this thing all situated and worked out. But now that we're here, we're gonna have a little fun. So P-Funk led it. She held me down while I was trying to get it situated. But we here now. So P-Funk, it's me and you time. You ready?
I'm ready to do this. Come on with it, buddy.
Okay, so as you guys can see, I got my man Travis here, and we're gonna work with waves today. I know you guys in some of your stores, you might have guys that's afraid to walk in because they feel like you might not know what to do with waves. So I'm gonna show you how I handle waves and what I like to do and what products I like to use. So starting out real quick, the products you're gonna see me use today, I'm actually gonna use a little tea tree wave refresher, but I'm gonna use blade slip, skin tonic, original pomade, and cooling aftershave gel. And then the tools, I'm using 2 rotary motor clippers, 2 rotary motor T-liners, got some scissors, my clipper comb, and my razor. So to start out, I'm gonna just get going. If you guys have any questions, I'm gonna have my man Nick come hold the camera for me while we get going. And if they got a question for me, tell them to yell it at me. So to start out, working with waves, you gotta find the right length. So I'm gonna start out with a 1.5, I think this is a 1 3/4 blade, if you guys can see that. And I'm gonna start out with the grain. I'm using the Super ZR from Andis. And I just wanna make sure I get Travis's wave pattern down. He says he loves when his waves pop. So we wanna make them pop so they can be blessing, like he said. So before I determine the final length, I just wanna make sure I get it down so that I can set up the next phase for the taper. So as you can see, I'm coming, even though his waves are actually going forward, his growth pattern never changes. So it stays exactly the same. You know, you hear those guys all the time like, hey, don't cut against the grain on my waves, don't do this with my waves. And it's like, we're the professionals here. So we have to take charge and let them know and understand that we actually know what we're doing. So as I work my way through, I'm not worried about the way his waves are laying. I'm worried about the growth pattern. So that's why you see me working in such a way to where I'm coming across the grain and I'm going with the grain, so that I make sure I don't leave Travis having leopard spots in his haircut. So you want to make sure you get that nice and smooth. P, I'm gonna pass it over to you so I can catch up to you a little bit, P-Funk. Go ahead and do your thing, girl.
All right, doctor. You know, I had to call you doctor because I've been trying to figure out what your nickname was gonna be, and I chose doctor because you always want to be all fancy with your equipment and stuff, trying to show somebody up. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna be at your level one day. I'm gonna be at your level. So, guys, this is what I've done so far. So, of course, remember I started off with that larger attachment. I started off with with a 3, then I went down to a 2. Then I started doing a 1.5 because I'm kind of, again, still taking my time customizing the shape. In between time, I went through and still picked it out just a little. Do not be scared to use your pick when you're working with hair. Use that pick, because when you use the pick, that's going to show you what that natural state of the hair is. What you don't want the client to do, you don't want the client to have to walk out from leaving his haircut and have to pick it to give it the shape, or have to pat it down actually to give it shape. We don't want that, right? So I take the time and pick it out as I'm doing the haircut. So right now you see me using my fade brush a little because I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna make her fade tighter all around the edges. So I've used the 1.5. Now I'm gonna take it down to, I'm actually gonna go ahead and take it down to a 1/2. I'm gonna take it down to a 1/2, right it around in this area here. And then when it's time for me to blend, I'll blend up probably either clip over comb or freehanded. So 1/2 is gonna be with my blade open. I'm starting here very, very low. As I come up, I'm gonna rock that clipper out or use that C motion that I think that you guys has probably heard before, but I'm taking my time. You know, we talk about efficiency, and efficiency is very important, but when you're working with a curl pattern, especially if we're not that familiar with it, take your time through it. Because taking our time, what ends up happening, you guys, is you don't end up having to do the haircut 2 and 3 times. So yeah, I'm just going through here to have my blade open, establishing exactly where I want that taper to be. And I do a lot of freehand work. I typically work, when I work with that clipper, I usually don't use the whole entire blade. I use about 1/2 of the blade so I can rock that out. So as when my clipper is kind of, I would call that like on a diagonal, I'm automatically giving it a blend. So yeah, I got that just about where I want that. Nakia, can you turn to the side so they can see? You see where we have that fade? Right in there. Perfect. There, you can face forward for me. Thank you so much. So some of the other things, we talked about some products that we use. When we're dealing with hair that has like a tighter curl pattern, I tend to lean towards things that have an oil base and something that's kind of creamy. What you want to make sure that you do is definitely stay away from products that have alcohol base, which means I do not need to be using products that are non-professional products, right? We're going to spend those extra couple dollars because at the end of the day, it's only going to be a couple more dollars to spend to get the type of product that we need. I see you over there working, doctor.
Yeah, so look, P-Funk, this is what I had to do. I had to jump. I started cutting down with that 1 3/4, and then I realized Travis' hair and his wave pattern is definitely gonna pop out a little bit more if I took it down to a 1 1/2. So I stayed with the 1 1/2 and continue to work around, and I'm gonna bring the camera so you guys can see this awesome cowlick he has. So you see that nice little beehive swirl? I wanna make sure that I brush that hair to make sure once it gets smooth, I'm in the direction of its natural growth. So then I could come in and just use that corner of that blade and work around that cowlick. Most people will just go in and cut that completely off, or that's typically where you plug them because you're not paying attention to how his hair is actually growing. So that is the actual separation of all the different directions his hair is gonna grow. So I'll take my time in that area. You can see it's a little patch here. So I'll come back and just go right over the top of that, making sure not to interfere with what's happening in that whirl area. So now, the great thing, I was just talking to a student this morning, and he was asking me, why do I cut, textured hair against the grain, with the grain, across the grain? And for me, I want everybody to know and understand, when it comes to straight hair, you typically want to stay cutting against the grain. With texture, wavy, curly, extra curly, you can cut in any direction. So for me, I want to make sure now I'm going into the tapered area. I didn't try to make this perfect. I just wanted it good enough because I'm actually going to go back in there and remove some more of that weight out when I go in that tapered area. So Travis, he loves his little sideburns right here. You see his smile right now? He loves his sideburns. He said his beard is growing in. Don't interrupt his sideburns. So if I start out with my trimmers, it'll actually make it bald, and it's going to be hard to actually keep that sideburn connection. So instead of starting with that trimmer, I now put a 000 on, and I can start the process of right at that natural fold of his ear. I'm going to go in and start to remove that extra weight. Brush that hair out of the way. So now I got that set. I move up from a 000 to a number 1. This is a little crazy T-blade number 1. It's actually an animal blade. I just like it because it's wider. I could cover more ground and not have to worry about too much. So all I'm doing is giving myself a stopping point and a starting point. Now that I have that 000 to 1 set, I'll go in and that's when I start working with magic. And I start blending here. Same thing, now I replace the clipper that I was using, that Super ZR2, that 5-speed clipper. Now I'm going to my master. If I close it up, I'm at a 000. If I open it up, I'm at a number 1. So I get to work everything in between that's gonna help me with his taper area. So I'll start it out halfway and I'll get moving.
John, could you explain the animal blade a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So the animal blade, it's just bigger. So it's still a number 1. It's just bigger than the number 1 that's typically on your barbering or beauty side of the clipper world. So I got this at Petco actually, and I like it because the Petco version of blades are bigger, and they go into larger sizes compared to your average like barbering supply store. As you can see, I'm just working that taper, still using that 000, getting a nice little gradient present. So if I use that 1 1/2 to go with the grain to start out, I'm actually gonna switch and go to a number 2 first, because now I'm gonna cut against the grain into Travis's wave pattern, but I wanna make sure I leave it long enough so that you calm that guy in the chair saying, don't cut my hair against the wave, you're gonna make me lose my waves. I'm not gonna make him lose his waves. I'm just smoothing him out. So once again, he doesn't look like a leopard when he walks outside. And I know you guys are probably thinking like, what do you mean by a leopard? So you know how leopards have light and dark spots? Well, when you're working with a wave pattern, if you don't typically go with the grain and against the grain with a higher blade, you typically will see that light and dark spot. So I switched from the 2 back to a 1.5. And now I'm just working out and smoothing out underneath. If you guys have any questions for me, please ask.
Say, hey, doctor.
What's up? What's up, P-Funk?
So thank you so much for talking about going with the grain or against the grain. What I'm doing, you guys, now is I'm gonna go with the grain since I want to begin to start blending that haircut. So I want to go with the way that hair grows naturally. I think that was probably one of the things that I found a little bit more challenging to me from going from straight hair to textured hair was knowing how to cut it. And I always tell my team members now when I'm in training, when you want to go with that, with the way that growth pattern is, that's when I really want to do my blending. When I want to go against it is when I'm taking the majority of the hair off. So, you know, I started off going against it. Now I'm going with it because I'm beginning to blend the blending process. So thanks, doctor, for giving me that segue.
No problem, and I appreciate you passing it back right now. So same thing, I went from using my rotary motor, which is my lawnmower clipper, to my detailer. I threw that 1/16 on. The 1/16 is the exact same as a 1.5, but with the lever, I'm actually getting a 1A and all the way through to a 1.5. So I get to manipulate this lever a little bit to change the length, which then will give me that seamless blend. So as you can see how I'm working Travis's blend now, you can see the difference.
That's looking good over there, doctor.
I think, you know, I see you over there working your magic too. I'm just having a little fun over here.
Man, I'm just trying to keep up with you. Just trying to keep up.
Hey, I think you had a 12-minute head start, so I got to catch you.
Well, thank goodness for the head start.
So as you can see how I'm working this, still constantly adjusting that lever. And if you notice, I use a small manicuring brush, something soft bristle that allows me to get any unwanted hair off of Travis's scalp. But because of the fact that it is soft bristle, it's actually comfortable for Travis as well. So if you do get a small manicuring brush, make sure you get something that's soft bristle that's gonna allow this client to feel comfortable as you're brushing that hair. So I'm coming back in, just smoothing that out a little bit more. Working behind that ear. Switching to a number 1. Notice I always go back towards that hairline because that's one of the biggest things about when you're edging someone up. If that hairline is not smooth, especially with waves, it's gonna pop back up on you. Travis' hair texture is not just, actually he brushed those waves, he worked for those waves, but his actual formation is really kind of wavy, kind of curly. So because it has that slight curl, I have to make sure I smooth that line out all the way through so that when I go in to get his hairline nice and sharp, I don't have any unwanted hair just sticking up. So you can see now that end result of what this taper looks like. So I'm gonna show you this side, and then we'll spin them around, and that's what we started with. So this is Friday night. That's Monday morning. P-Funk, I'm gonna pass it back to you. What you got going on?
So what I'm doing now, I'm fading her down to a no guard right now. Again, female, I want to keep her feminine. So I'm making a very nice, soft fade. So when it's time for me to edge her up, we'll do it nice and softly, not a really, really hard line, right? Because she wants to look feminine. If we were working with a dude, we will make a more of a sharper line. But with a female, I want my lines to be a little bit more curvy, a little bit more softer. So I'm just going in here. I took some of her hair. Nakia's hair gets very, very thick right here in this temple area. So what I did was I did really clipper over comb work, trimmed that down a little bit, and then I'm working my way all the way around to the side of her head. Nakia, will you turn so they can see? There you are, right there. So this is what we've done so far. And we're just continuing to blend that line out and fade her down. So I'm working with my guard open here just a little bit, just to fine tune, make sure she's good. I like my fades just like any other good barber or good cosmetologist. We want them to look like they've been painted. It needs to look like a picture, right, John? It needs to look like we are just, it's a whole pretty picture or handsome picture.
I tell people nobody told Picasso how much to charge for his art. So you got to look at every canvas that we working on is art. And we can charge, want to charge for it because it is our creativity. It's our imagination that we're using. Let our hands make this picture for us. So that's one thing about
our signature, right? Isn't it our signature? It's our signature on this work.
Hey, you got to make sure that work is fantastic. So now I'm working back in that nape area. I'm gonna turn them around. So now I'm gonna start out with hit that line with my liners to get that balding area. Come out with an OA, which is half of a number 1. Move that out. Now this is where I jump around a little bit. I'm gonna go all the way back down to a 1.5 because I don't want to push this taper up too high, but I want to make sure it's nice and blended. So I give myself a short, a medium, and a long zone. So right now I'm just blending into my long zone, using that 1.5, constantly brushing and rotating out. So now you can see short, medium, long. This is my final cut, style, and finish. So I just broke it down. I work to a system when I cut hair. I typically go short, medium, long. In a taper, I'm doing the same thing, but it's short, medium, long. And so you want to make sure that you have that all together so that you're not just going too high. When you're looking at a taper, your reference point should always be the mastoid, the earlobe, and the low nape. And what I mean by low nape, I mean right at that hairline. So now I'm smoothing back out that line of demarcation with this number 2 blade. P-Funk.
Yeah.
We 30 minutes.
Now, you're gonna turn her around. We're gonna work on that nape. I've already start tapering her out. I want to keep her nice and rounded here in the back. Again, try to keep it very, very feminine. Right now, I'm working with this half, kind of building in where I want to begin to start fading it down. And now I'm going to close this blade and tighten her straight on up.
Pauline, Laura has a question for you.
Sure.
Can you clarify exactly when you go with the grain and against the grain, please?
So with me, when I go with the grain is when I typically want to blend the hair or when I want to take hair off. When I want to give it a softer finish is when I go with it. When I go against is when I want to take off the bulk, the majority of the hair. Did that answer your question? If not, I'm happy to clarify further. And you know, when I first started doing this, you guys, because I'll be very honest, yes, I'm African-American, you can clearly see that, but I was more comfortable cutting straight hair. When I started to begin to cut more textured hair, I went with the way the growth pattern first, because that always took less hair off, and I wasn't able to get scared. So sometimes I tell some of my team members, go with it first, see how much hair that is going to take off first, and then go against it. And then that kind of can give you a feel for which one that you want to do.
People, can I chime in at this back in?
Please do.
So also, just to chime into that conversation of when to go against and with the grain, one thing that you guys gotta understand, as you work up the head shape and you're cutting against the grain, you're pushing this line of demarcation higher and higher up the head shape. When you're actually blending down and working with the grain, what you're doing is actually smoothing that weight line out. You're not gonna completely remove it all the way, but you're actually just gonna smooth it out to make that transition a whole lot cleaner and smoother. It's basically like you're putting gears in a machine like this to make everything fall into place. So if you work up, you're gonna have a weight line here, but if you work down, you'll smooth it out and they'll connect the dots like that. Hopefully that helps somebody.
Yeah, so John, would you say that you tend to fade up or down?
So the question is actually, I tend to fade up or down. I have fun in both. I actually set the haircut with going up, and then I I'll set it up by starting out long length, medium, and then short. And then I blend all of that back up together. So I kind of work in both directions. It's kind of like a hybrid cutting system. Somebody's asking about razor bumps. How do you protect the client from razor bumps? Maybe that might have been the question. So if I have a guest that has a razor bump, what's that telling me? That is telling me that that hair has been cut too short, and when it went underneath that skin, it curled back up. So for me, I would suggest if a guy is getting razor bumps really bad, and he's like, oh, he's in love with a ball fade, you have to talk him out of that ball fade and get him something like starting out with a 000 so that those razor bumps won't be present. So instead of using your foil shaver or instead of using your trimmers on them, you want to go with a 000. It's still going to give him the appearance of being bald, but it won't be, and that should help tremendously with razor bumps.
Is there any products that you use to prevent razor bumps, John?
So the only products that you could really use to prevent razor bumps, there's some stuff called Tin Skin. It's like silent fire. I used to use it a lot when I had razor bumps really bad. So Tin Skin is a great thing to help with razor bumps. You use it 2 times a day. It's a solution, and it definitely helps. So as you guys can see, how I'm tapering out Travis's name. Now, one of my favorite things to do is once I start tapering and once I start fading, I always place a line so that I can see where I'm at. Once you place a hard line, you'll be able to see any other lines of demarcation. So that's the line I want to put in just so I can see if I have any weight inside of this haircut. So you can see how that line is super straight, nice and clean, running straight off that mastoid. And I'll do the same thing on the opposite side, push his hair over. Notice I go right to that line and push away. So I'm coming back towards his ear and not running to the line. The more you run to the line, you actually have a higher chance of pushing that hairline in. So we don't want to do that. And now I just come back and get all the hair around his hairline. Can you guys see that?
That looks good, buddy.
What was that?
I said, that looks great.
Thank you, thank you.
So guys, what I'm doing now is I'm just going in and cleaning up around her edges, just cleaning up a little bit. Again, remember when we started, I said I want to keep her nice and feminine. She like nice, soft, curvy, more curvy lines. And the kid is very, very particular. She doesn't like all of this lined up. And that's when your consultation is so important, you guys. Find out exactly what that client wants. Some clients want it to be a nice sharp line. Somebody might want it a little bit softer. So that consultation is so important. I'm just going around here cleaning her up.
A wireless. So now I'm just going through 1.5, smoothing out any hair that's haven't been completely blended out. Notice I didn't take this taper behind his ear. When a client comes in and they ask for a taper, it typically only lives from temple peak point to natural fold of the ear, mastoid, and below. If you go behind this area, you are now creating a fade. So you want to stay out of this area when you're tapering. Here's your points, here's your points. It's almost like I'm gonna take my hat off and put it on Travis' head. That's your tapered area, here and here. Everything else is a no-fly zone. So think about like when you're wearing a headband or something like that.
Hey, doctor, let me tell them what are we doing right quick.
Go ahead, get yours in, please, Paul.
You're so crazy. So what are we doing right now? I'm taking my shears, guys, and I'm just floating my shears across. She has a few stragglers, and I also want to customize the shape. And I like to float my shears across. And when I say float them across, I mean exactly that. You want to use the longest shear that you have. I don't like real long shears because I have little bitty hands. I feel like I'm out of control. So this is the longest shear that I have. I take that shear, I just take it to the hair and I just float it across. As I'm floating across, I'm only using my thumb, which is the proper way to cut with shears, right? And I'm customizing that shape. Getting all the little stragglers that she may have up here.
Pauline, I love that you're doing this technique because I have a question about this technique. And you're obviously using your shears for it, but can you also use the foil shaver?
I've never used the foil shaver for this particular technique. I usually will just use my shears, or I would use my, or some clippers, but I would imagine that will work because the foil shaver is only going to take off those little hairs, right? So I would imagine that would help, but I'm not sure. John, do you have the answer to that? Do you know?
I can definitely help you with that. So for our afro shaping, I wouldn't use a foil shaver. Now with something like Travis Lynn, I will use a foil shaver to kind of brush over the top of that hair. And like P-Funk was saying, it's only a small amount of hair that it's going to take off. So that's why you're safe with it. When you use that technique for the first time, people are going to look at you crazy and think like, oh no, how did they do that? They're going to make it bald, and it's not. It's only a tool that's designed to cut small amounts of hair. So wavelength, yes. Afro, I wouldn't recommend it. I would do exactly what P-Funk myself is doing right now. I would just shear it because that shear work is going to give you the best shape possible, and it's going to look a whole lot cleaner. So I support that shear work when you shaping up that fro. So what
I take a lot of pride when I'm doing this shear, floating this shear, because to me that's just like it's something that's like that signature that I'm going to put at the end of this haircut.
That's definitely it. Like that's part of that. Some guys don't they don't feel like they got a good haircut unless you put those scissors on them at the end.
That's right.
So I would always recommend that. And now what I'm doing, I'm just repeating this process. What I did on the opposite side for Travis's taper, I'm gonna do the same exact movements on this side, using that 1.5 to come in and remove some of that weight inside where he has a wave pattern. Now it's tricky with Travis' hair because his growth pattern switches. He's coming straight towards his nose area, but then right where the top of that earlobe or the top of the ear sits, his wave pattern now shifts and his growth pattern shifts to open up more like a triangle. So I want to make sure I'm coming in and I'm going back towards his face when I'm low, but as I get higher up, I want to push back towards the crown area to make sure I get a proper blend. So you'll see me working cross grain right now, brush, open up, and go back against. I think it's very important for you guys to understand how to shift your movements inside of this haircut when you're working with waves. So now I'm back, number one, making sure I smooth everything out. When I go to my finished products, like I'm gonna show you guys some tricks that I love to do with my Maverick products. I think it's real important for you guys to understand the product might say that it's blade slip, but you could use it with a razor, you could use it with your trimmer, you can use it a lot of different ways, and I maximize it. Last night I did a mullet on Instagram Live for Maverick, and I showcased I think 6 or 7 different products on one haircut, when typically you would think, oh, a mullet, you're just gonna use a styling product. No, if I'm touching his face, I wanna use every product possible that I can for his face. Why? Because it's gonna help you guys as stylists and upsell to products. Guys need to have great products. They need to understand what products you're using and give them every piece of product possible to help them take care of themselves. Guys are really, really into self-care right now. I think this is the most I've ever seen it. I think we got to thank the pandemic for guys understanding like exfoliating and everything needs to take place. So as you can see, I'm just moving that last detail, any weight line out, moving out, getting Travis's hairline ready and prepped. That's the favorite part. The hairline is the money maker. The more you can get that hairline nice and clean, the more money you're gonna make. So I'm gonna show you a little trick that I use to make hairlines nice and clean. P-Funk, where you at? You quiet on me, you went quiet.
No, you know how sometimes we get when we're in our art, man. We kind of get quiet, get to thinking about it, right? So where I am now, I'm still floating the shears around, just customizing some of the weight line. We had a little bit of a weight line, and I left that weight line purposely again because I told you we want to leave a lot of length here on top. But I'm going to about finish her up with my foil shavers, and I'm going to do the foil shavers at the nape just to get any little stragglers that we may have at the nape.
Okay, well, I'm here for my trick. You ready?
Yeah, what is it? Let me hear.
Okay, so if you notice, his hairline has low density, right? Yeah. He has pockets. He has all this wave pattern sitting right on top of his hairline. Now, in order to get this nice and smooth, I want to come in and I must actually taper his front hairline. Taper it down to remove any weight that's going to give me an uneven look.
Yeah.
That's stopped me from being able to give him a nice, clean, crispy edge up. So I taper that hairline down. Where he's low dense, I come behind it and remove a little bit more hair behind that weight line, behind that hairline. Come to the side and do the exact same thing. So because I use the 1.5, I'm tapering his front hairline with a number 1. And I go all the way to the corner, so I smooth everything out. If I see a little hair that's a little raised, I'll come back and close it up just a tad bit more. Always remember, the shorter that front hairline is, without it really looking like you did it too short, the cleaner that lineup is gonna be. And I'm gonna use a little blade slip to pop even more. My process with the blade slip, layer on, and I want it to sit for a second. So Travis is all ready to get his edge up. He ready for a night out. So I'm gonna make sure I get all of that hair off of Travis, brush that hair down. So the key about blade slip, you wanna make sure you put a thin layer, small amount, and I put it on his hairline and I just work it from the outside back to the middle. And I'm gonna use it across his whole hairline. And the reason why I use it, not just for a clean edge up, but it also protects the skin. I know some of us use different edges. My edges are extremely sharp. So I want to make sure I have protection on his skin to support that, keeping that kind of safe at all times. So now I take that same brush and just brush it in. Make sure it works in really good in that hair. So while I'm giving that time to dry, this is where I come back in and I finish out just the small detail stuff that I like to do. So even though we went with a 1.5, when you stand to the side, I could see extra hair curling up from that wave pattern. So I just want to make sure I skim over the top to make sure everything is laid down nice and smooth. So you can see the difference now, how that hair is really popping out, those waves fresh to death. And I'm still at 1/16 just to smooth him out, making sure he looks the best, making sure all that hair is laid down nice and smooth. It's not like I'm trying to cut any more hair off. This is just one of those detail things. So how P-Funk is over there using those scissors to do the detail, I'm using my clipper to get that extra length out of the way. So at this point, I start working on that hairline. Always start in the center. So I'll turn his head to me, and I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna go from a brush back to my comb. And the reason why I switch is because I want that hair to really just stick and stay in place. Start out in that center, and I work my way out over the top.
Oh no, you know why?
Working my way outside. Putting that nice clean edge up on Travis. Once again, turn him towards me. Always start in the center, that's your balance point. Center out. Another little trick you can do, I don't know if you guys have some, but I love using Stay Strong, our Paul Mitchell holding spray. And I actually put the Stay Strong on his hairline. And once I put that Stay Strong on the hairline on top of that Maverick, I get a nice clean edge up. The hair won't move because of the fact that we're using a holding spray, and it won't clog your clippers either. So you can see, I moved my body around, came to the opposite side, turned Travis' head towards me, one hand on top, and I'm resting it, and I'm using right back to the center. I'm working my way back around. So you guys see the difference by tapering out that hairline just a tad bit? I think everybody's saying, yeah, I can't see you, but I think you're saying, yeah.
That's what they said. Everybody said yes. I heard them.
All right, people, I appreciate you got the good ears.
You know I got you. All right, you guys. So what I'm going to do right now is we're basically done. I'm just going to style her up a little bit. She's great the way that she is. Turn to the side, Nakia. She's great the way that she is. But say she wants to go out. She wants to do a little bit of something, right? And doesn't just want the fro look. Turn back around. We're going to add just a little bit of product. And the product that we use, as long as it's like a cream base and has a little bit of hold to it, and if it has the word like curl on it, that'd be great. That means it's going to have some moisture to it, right? So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. Rub it in. Leave-in conditioner works also. And what the look that we're going for is going to be a look that's going to be kind of like that twisted, kind of textured look. Kind of almost like a unkept kind of look, but actually a little bit of effort into it. So I put this product in. And again, remember I told you in the beginning, Nakia has very tight curl, which means that it's a little bit dry. So I'm going to add a little bit more. And the product again that I'm using is just a cream base. A lot of moisture. Get it in here really good. Get it into her around her scalp area. Now there are some things that you can buy that can make that curl or that little twisty kind of pattern. And it's some of the sponges that they sell in almost any beauty supply store, or any of the little some drugstores will have them. But with Nakia's hair, her curl collar is a little bit tighter. So this particular doesn't necessarily work for her that great. So I'm just going to use the soft side of a brush, and I'm just going to make some circular motions on it to give that same twisted look. And when you do that, you only want to just like brush just the top of the hair. You don't need to get down in the root. This is just to give it, just to add a little bit more texture to her hair that's already textured. Gives it more of that type of, I guess you would call it a messier look.
It's kind of like my hair right now. I cut my hair off. I had long hair, so I cut mine off so I could get back to, I like the little guys. I like the little curl sponge look. I feel like it's me a little bit better.
Now, do you use one of those brushes? I mean, those sponges, John, or do you use a brush?
So I use a curl sponge, and I use Maverick's grooming cream. Or I might use Maverick's grooming spray if I want a little more hold to it.
Okay.
So it really depends. Original pomade is great when I work with that curl sponge as well. So I'm a product junkie, as you can tell. I find ways to use any product that I can from my Maverick line to give myself the best end result for my client, but also so the client gets the best end result.
Yeah, making sure that we do that product recommendation for our clients, you guys. You know, sometimes we're like, we're not salespeople. No, you're not a salesperson. You sure aren't. But what you are is a professional. And when you go to a professional, you want a professional recommendation, right? Your clients have that same expectation. So don't ever be hesitant about making a professional recommendation for your clients about product. They want it, they need it, and then you want your client to look good when they're not just with you, right? Because that's your walking advertisement.
Yeah, and can I tap onto that?
Please.
So it's only feeling salesy if you do it in a salesy position. If you wait till they're done with the haircut, you're walking them up and they're getting ready to check out, and you're like, hey, by the way, do you want to buy? Then yeah, it sounds salesy, it feels salesy. But if you're actually doing that through the whole process, when I'm working with my guests, they understand what I'm using, why I'm using it, and how I'm going to use it, and what's the benefit of them using it. And so I don't make it a salesy thing. I make it more of like, you need this. Yesterday when I spoke on that live for Maverick, one of the questions was, well, what if a guy tells you he doesn't want product? That's great. I love it when a guy tells me he doesn't want product. And the reason why I love it is because I'm actually going to take that opportunity to give him a little nutrition lesson. Do you like to eat food? Yes. Okay, so your hair needs to eat food as well. So you feed your stomach McDonald's, Taco Bell, I vote want Taco Bell. Whatever you feed it, you eat. So why not feed your hair the same way? You need nutrition, your hair needs nutrition. Product is nothing but hair food. And so that's why I love when guys tell me that. So next time you guys get a person that say, well, I don't like product, I never use product, but they also the same person that's going to tell you, I hate my hair. Well, guess what? You probably hate your hair because it's malnutrition. Facts. So I went in with my liners. Now I'm coming in with my razor. I still have that blade slip on there. That's the benefit of using your trimmers first. I'll just come in and do a little detail work. Come in. I use my liners just to give me the blueprint and the foundation to work that line in. Make sure those corners pop. Notice I'm stretching the forehead down and then working my way up to the hairline.
Doctor, you make that look so easy.
It ain't.
I know. I said make it look. I know it's not easy.
You know, you got to make sure that you get just the right angle, but that's the benefit of me using that blade slip. I'm not worried too much because I have that protection on his skin.
I've never heard that trick before. Thank you for sharing that, because I definitely will be using that.
Yeah, so now I'm gonna ask my man Nick to get a little closer. So if you could get a little closer, you could see this hair sticking up My clippers couldn't catch that. So now I'll come in and use my scissors to go right on top of that. So just like P-Funk was using, now my scissor is actually resting on the head and I'm just skating right across that hairline, floating. And finishing out, constantly brushing and moving. Brushing and moving. So now I'm gonna give Travis a spin around so you guys can see before I put his product in.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good stuff. That looks great. Not that I expected anything different.
So I stack a little product because he has waves. I'm gonna use the tea tree wave refresher, and I'm gonna just spray it on. Every product that I use, if I'm layering, I always brush that product in before I layer the next one on. Because we all know product, in order to change what happens with bonds in the hair, you gotta have a physical change and a chemical change. So this is gonna make his waves pop. Now I come back. Maverick Original Pomade. Come right on top of that with the tea tree. And this is what's gonna make his hair really bust, like Travis said. You wanna get these waves busting. Rubbing that in. Same thing, brush. Because I use those two products, he's gonna have a nice shine on him. And then last but not least, I always wake my clients up. This is the coffee. Have him close his eyes. Spray him real good. Make sure he smells it. Brush his face off. Still left him happy with his sideburns so that he could, enjoy those. But then last but not least, I come back, I brush all that hair down, and wherever I took that cape off, I want to make sure I go back in, use my trimmer, and clean that t-shirt line. Anything lower than the t-shirt line, that's a back shave, and I'm gonna charge you for a back shave. So I want to make sure we just clean all that up. So there we have it, our finished product. Travis, I hope you like it when you see it, but that's how we work. I use blade slip on his hairline, tea tree wave refresher, original pomade from Maverick, skin tonic, showed you a little razor work. This is a 1.5 with the grain, a 2 back against the grain to actually smooth it out so we get a nice even look and we don't see any of those potholes or leopard print spots. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I can see the comments on the screen. Let me know what you guys think. So much information. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about.
Woo, your models look sexy, both of you. I love it. You guys really know how to embrace texture and love your curl, and that's exactly what we wanted to hear from you today. So great job, both of you. I definitely want you guys to stay on, and we're going to welcome back the rest of our guests because this segment is called Insight from the Insiders. We want you guys to get to know the artists themselves because they give off great education. They're always giving tips and tricks, but they're just like you and me. We all started from somewhere. We all went to beauty school, barber school, or something like that. And I want you guys to get to know them a little bit. So if everybody could turn their cameras back on, all the artists, and join me. All right. Pauline, John, Randy, Stephanie, Willie, and I think Chev will be on. Chev's on too. All right. Awesome. Well, I definitely want to start with my first question for John. So John, why did you choose this career? What were your initial thoughts about entering hair school?
So the funny thing is, I didn't actually choose this career. The career chose me. I was playing college football, and I was just tired of getting hit by grown men for free. And so my mother's been in the beauty industry for over 40 years now. My sister's been in there over 20. And so I felt like if I lie and say that I wanted to be a barber, it would give me time to figure out what I really wanted to do in life. And it didn't work that way. I was enrolled in barber school 3 days later. So that's really how I became a barber. And within 6 months, I just fell in love with the art and fell in love with really what it's all about. It's about the people. And so I fell in love about helping people, making people feel good about themselves. And that's how I became a barber.
I love that story so much. And Chev and Randy, please make sure I'm saying this right, but you are both not licensed, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so this question's for you. You're not licensed in the industry, yet you play a huge role. Why do you love what you do, and what got you here?
Chaz, you go first, my friend.
All right. Well, for me, it was the beard is what led me to join this industry. I started growing my beard, joined a beard club, and from there, you know, I learned about beard care, like beard products, and that's when I discovered Gibbs. From there, I just I've been with Gibbs 5 years now, and so through Gibbs, I've grown and learned so much, and that's kind of how I got my start. But I have to thank the beard for helping me get there.
All right, well, thank the beard for sure. And it's a rad industry to be in, right?
It is, yeah, definitely.
Randy, what about you?
Yeah, so for me, I'm not a licensed stylist, and people say, well, how'd you invent the shear handle and all that? In short, I've been in the industry for about 30 years. And for those of you that stand on mats in your salon, I actually invented the first lightweight mat, and we started in the beauty industry 30 years ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't smart enough to patent it at the time. It's a shame because now basically anybody on their feet, you know, delis, pharmacies, restaurants, bars, hairstylists, barbers, students, you know, all use that. So now everything we have is, you know, patented and registered. But going back to that, I'll never forget before I get into the sheer part of it. I was at a hair show in, I don't remember, somewhere in the South in the mat industry. And this woman came up to me and said, can I hug you? You're the guy that invented this, right? I said, yeah. She said, I just have to tell you that I worked all day yesterday, 12 hours on my feet. I had no pain in my back and my knees. And I was able to make enough money to come to the show. And that's what I love about this business. You guys always hear me say it's not about the money, because it's not. Whether, you know, as a manufacturer, you guys as, you know, as, team members and doing what you do, you take care of the customer. And that's where we get our joy. At least I know that's where I get my joy. I love helping people. I always tell people, don't mistake my enthusiasm for selling, because I think I come across, I'm so passionate, people think it can't be real. But for those of you that know me, it's not about what you have, it's what you do. You know, what's your footprint, I always say to people. So mine is, even after the patents expire and when I'm fertilized, or hopefully in a long time, what we invented, what we created is going to help people forever, as long as there's a shear in somebody's hand. So for me, that's what I love about it. I love when we get texts and emails and, you know, how they don't have wrist pain or shoulder or back pain. I love it. You know, that's really what gets me motivated every day. And I pinch myself. I'm very thankful to be in this really amazing industry where, for, you know, besides beauty school, a couple $1,000s in tools, you can go work anywhere in the world, you know, and make people happy and change their lives. So that's the short long of it.
I love that, Randy. Thank you. I mean, you're right. It's not just the licensed people. It's everybody that supports them in this industry. And that's what makes it so awesome. Yeah. So Stephanie and Pauline, this one's for you, my Sport Clips artistic team. What is one thing you wish you knew before entering the industry? Pauline, we'll start with you.
One thing I wish I knew before entering the industry. I have to think about that for a minute. I think I wish I knew my potential. I wish I knew all the opportunities in addition to just being behind the chair. I wish I knew that once you graduate from beauty school, that you still have a whole long lot of lessons and a lot of training after that to actually reach your ability. I think that some of us have this falsehood of thinking once we graduate from beauty school that we're going to be off and running. Yeah, you'll be off and running, but you're going to be running a little bit slow. We got to continue to build on some of that education. So I think that that's probably what I think I was misled, thinking that I was going to come out and just not have to learn anything else.
It's about the journey, right?
It is. It is.
Stephanie, what about you?
For me, it probably would have been that. So in beauty school, I absolutely feared cutting men's hair. So anytime I would get a client and it was a guy, I would panic, run to the bathroom, cry, try to tell him I was sick and get out of it. But now here it is like 13 years later and like that's my specialty. So I wish I would have known that that's what I was gonna do, you know, and that's what I was gonna fall in love with was, you know, men's grooming and everything to do with like this side of the industry.
That's funny that you ran from men because I ran from perms. So we had a different view on that. All right, Willie. And Willie, I love how you call us family because we are family. We're in this industry. We're all family. And I really love that. Would you have done anything different or chosen certain opportunities that you turned down?
No. You know, the simple answer to that is no. There have been so many doors that opened for me in this industry. When I went to school, I thought I wanted to do nails and makeup. And one of my dear friends convinced me to go to cosmetology school and do hair. And I'd never touched hair before. I'd never held scissors or clippers or anything like that. I'd never done makeup or nails either. It just seemed like something fun that I would get paid to do. And when I was in school, they had us make a goals list, like the second day of school, like, you know, a career goals list. And things on my goals list were like graduate school, because I tried college, guys, and I didn't do so well, right? So I was like, just graduate school, own my own salon, become an educator, you know, help people feel good and do what people did for me. And I had no idea the doors that would open, the people that I would meet, the companies that I would come in contact with, and the family that I would have just 6 or 7 short years later. It's just incredible to think about. It's an amazing industry.
Awesome. I do have a question from the chat box. Tori is asking, how did you guys stay motivated through beauty school?
I'm happy to answer that question. How did I stay motivated? It was hard staying motivated. Beauty school, not to get too personal, but I was going through a change in life. I was changing careers. My life was changing. I had personal issues going on. So I stayed motivated because I felt this was my not my last straw, but this was going to be, becoming a hairstylist was going to be my ticket to whatever my next journey in life was going to be. So that was my motivation. My motivation was I needed to change. I knew I desired to change. And so every day I did my very best. Did I have time when things got really, really rough? Of course. But I just plugging through, and I looked towards my future and didn't necessarily continue to look at my today. I looked towards what I wanted my tomorrow to be.
Can I tap into that as well?
Yeah.
I think for me, it was a little different because I lied and said I wanted to go to school. I didn't have any motivation. I didn't have any drive to be there. And I was literally that student that was like, this is dumb. Why am I here? I don't want to be here. And like I said, at the 6 months mark, I spoke to my mother again, and she was like, you're really talented. If you really focus, you might be really good at this. And with my mom having all that experience, to hear that come from her, I didn't take it as like, oh, that's my parent speaking to me, like she's supposed to do that. I took it as like, this is somebody that's been around the industry and seen what the talent looked like. So if she felt like I was there, that was kind of like the motivation and turning point for me. But I honestly think the real motivation came from at the time when my girlfriend at the time, my ex-wife, got pregnant. Once she got pregnant, I think And then it being my firstborn being a girl. I think that's what really started that motivation and that determination and that attitude of like, I can't lose. I can never stop. I gotta always go, because I wanted to be that father figure that had that presence, that my daughter would want to bring somebody home like me, you know? And so I always kept that in my mind. So I think that's really what started to push and motivate me more than anything. It wasn't how much money. It's never been about money. It's always been about the process and the purpose. And that's what motivates and drove me through school at that point.
That's so sweet. Raise your hand if you have kids and you. All right. A couple of you. I know it can be difficult to have kids and be in the industry. So is there any tips you would give mothers or fathers that are in the industry?
I could speak to that again. I took the journey where I traveled an awful lot. In my career, I worked with some of the top musicians in the world. So I did the tour thing. And then from that, I went on the education side of it to where I was educating all the time, or I was in the shop all the time. And so I would always just have an open conversation with my kids. Like, this is what daddy's doing. They know I don't drink. They know I don't party. So they know if I left the house, it was to go make money to bring back to take care of them. And I always brought them into my world. So if I was working at a baseball stadium, cutting a baseball team, I would bring them to the stadium or have them dropped off at the stadium so that they can enjoy the game with me after work. And I want to just encourage anybody that's on here, don't let people tell you what your kids are going to make you not be, but your kids should be the motivation of what you want to be and even more. And so just have open conversations. And if you have multiple children, you got to communicate to the oldest one, because the little ones will confide in the oldest one when you're not around. So you want to make sure that you and the oldest kid is always on the same page, because they're going to help father or mother the younger generation and their siblings. So that's kind of the formula that I used. I just talked to my daughter and was like, yo, I need you to talk to your brother and let him know, like, this is what's up, daddy just working. And once that happened, my kids are so involved with my career. They love my career. They enjoy it because I made them a part of it. I made them a part of the conversations. And, you know, I teach them business through what I've been through.
That's a great point. I think we all need to know that our kids are, you know, we're their role models, right? So we continue to strive for the best, and that's what they see growing up, then that's who they want to become. So I think that's a great point, John. Thank you. Laura is in the chat box, and she's talking about, she was told that she would never make it, yet she's here. So how do you guys deal with people who try to put you down?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So that kind of takes me to the last question too, of how you got through beauty school. Like, I put my education, my college on hold to go to beauty school, because at the time I was traveling state to state with my husband at the time, because he was military. So my college was put, like, not transferring state to state. So it was like starting over every state. So I told myself, I was like, I need to get into a trade. So every state I go to, I have like a career. And then once I get settled in one state, I'll go back and finish my college degree. Well, I never finished my college degree. When I was signing up for beauty school, everyone said, even my own hairdresser said, don't do it. You're not going to make any money. Nobody's gonna, look at you and think you're amazing. Like, and so many people said, don't do it. And like, for me, that pushed me even harder to be successful and show that you can be someone in this industry. You can make money in this industry. You can do whatever you want in this industry. So like, when people say that, it just makes me go harder to prove them wrong, because this industry is so much more than just somebody cutting hair. Like, we change lives, and it's just an amazing industry.
You're absolutely right, and well said, for sure. All right, well, I have one more question, and then we're going to move on to the prizes, which everybody's waiting for. So this question is just funny to me because I know we've all been there, but I mean, it's been said that a hairstylist or barber must eat quickly in between clients. What is your go-to snack while working? And I know Taco Bell is not John's, so John, we'll start with you. What is your snack? What do you eat in between clients when you're a busy Saturday?
Honestly, it's probably trail mix.
Trail mix.
Yeah, I think it's trail mix. When I was not really focused on my age and my health, it was like Snicker, Monster, Doritos. That was like the trifecta. But now it's more like trail mix and water. You know, because we are standing up so much, I try to minimize how much I eat, but just focus really on drinking that water just to make sure that I stay hydrated. Because I am a big guy, so I can cramp up easy, and you don't want those problems. So trail mix and water.
Awesome. Willie, what about you?
You know, thanks for having me. What an amazing opportunity, and how cool this is. You know, I wish I would have seen something like this when I was in school, because it would have kept me motivated. But as far as food, you know, I'm like a Snickers commercial. I turn into a diva if I don't eat, you know? So, and I don't know which diva it is, I just eat. And what I've learned over time is that my book, as the busier my book got, the less time I had to eat or go to the restroom. And it became very important for the food choices I made to be heavy in protein, carbohydrates, low in sugars, and things that were going to cause dehydration, just like John mentioned. Also foods that wouldn't cause inflammation, because of how much I am on my feet, how much I, you know, rotate my shoulders, my elbows, my neck, my hips, my knees, my major joints. So anything that's going to help keep inflammation down is always a champion meal on my side.
That's so true. We don't think about it when we're young and we're getting out of hair school, right? We're just feeding ourselves, like you guys said, some bad stuff in between clients. But, you know, we do have to realize our body is our temple, especially in this industry. We really got to take care of it from the beginning. Chev, I know you're not behind the chair, but I know you travel a lot, because I've traveled with you, my friend. So I know you have a go-to snack.
I think probably jerky.
Jerky.
Beef jerky, any kind of jerky really. But I think that would probably be the go-to snack. It's easy, convenient, tons of protein.
And the smell lingers in the beard all day, so you just smell really good.
Yeah. Have some leftovers for later.
Yeah. Stephanie and Pauline, my Sport Clips girls, what about you?
I would say my go-to snack would be a low-carb tortilla and some peanut butter and water. Lots of water.
I just saw John's face. He's like, what? That's kind of like Taco Bell in a very weird way.
So mine, everybody wants to be healthy, and I'm just on this healthy journey. I'm just getting here. So today my snack would be something like some celery, some carrots, some hummus, some water. Definitely Red Bull. It's not good for you guys. It's not good for you, but Red Bull gets me through my days. And because I'm not all the way to the healthy place, some hot stuffed potato chips. Hot potato chips work for me. I figured it's a potato, so it has to be something healthy in there somewhere. It fits one of the food groups, right? So some potato chips, some hummus, some celery, carrots, and Red Bull water. That's my go-to snack.
Awesome. I mean, everybody's getting great ideas out there. And, you know, Randy, he not only owns this company, he also has a farm that he tends. So he's definitely have to have some sort of snacks on his tractor.
Yeah, so there's a company called, I don't get anything from them. There's a company called Wilderness Athlete, and it's used for mountain climbers, people doing strenuous activities. And they have a great electrolyte replacement powder that you put in your water. That is amazing, with a bunch of flavors. And then, because I get in the tractor sometimes in the morning, and I could go, you know, except for refueling, 8, 10, 12 hours straight. So I'll bring, they have these things called Brownie Bites. It's a small little power, like a protein bar, small, and they have different flavors, low in sugar, high in the things that you guys are talking about. Real easy, quick to eat. And it basically it's a meal replacement. So that's what I've found works the best for me from a hydration standpoint and from a meal standpoint. It works well.
Awesome. I hope you guys took a lot of notes on that, because this is important stuff.
Right? Wilderness Athlete.
Wilderness Athlete. All right. All right, guys, it's time for prizes. I know that you have been sent a text message of your winners. So Chev, we're going to start with you. This is for the Gibbs Grooming product bundle. And he's going to let us know the winner. You're muted, Chev. Nobody's going to hear the winner.
Yeah. So for the Gibbs Grooming product bundle, we have Luisa Huerta. So we will get your details and send you an awesome prize package worth over $300.
That's so awesome. And I know that everybody was writing in the chat box how they wanted to get their hands on that product. So I'm sure they're super stoked. All right, next up, we'll do Randy and Willie. I'm not sure which one of you has the winner, but you guys, you can talk about what you're giving away as well.
Willie?
Randy, you can talk about what we're giving away and I'll tell the winners.
Well, you know, I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I always say the truth is the best lie, right? So I'm pretty sure we're giving away a set of either stainless or titanium cutting shear and a texture shear with a retail value of, I believe it's $600 to $700. Is that right, Willie?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Was it stainless or titanium?
Yeah, I think it was titaniums. So
Okay.
like $659.95 in that area.
Yeah, yeah. And it does come with the case and our shear fit scissor fitting system, oil. I mean, everything that you need to, have a great cutting experience and feel great at the end of the day. So Willie, why don't you announce the winners? There's two different ones, I believe.
We're giving away 3 and we were only sent 2 winners.
Oh, you're right.
But without further ado, Sarah Schramm and Sandra Tucker.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's so exciting. A new pair of shears. That's what everybody needs.
World's most ergonomically correct shears.
Right.
Welcome to the family.
True that.
Thank you guys for that donation, for sure.
Our pleasure.
All right, John, it's up to you. This is John Mosley one-on-one training is what he's giving away. John, do you have your winner?
I do have my winner, and I just want to say, if you're not the winner, kudos to you anyway, because you're on here with us anyway, so you still winning, right? So my winner is Taylor Arnett. We get to hang out together. So Taylor, if you're on here, let's make it happen and let's get to work.
Yes. All right, and then our last winner gets one-on-one education from the Sport Clips artistic team, which is always really exciting and fun. So our winner is Bray Berkowitz. I think I said that right. Bray Berkowitz. Congratulations. We're so excited to have a class with you, one-on-one. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you guys all for being here today. Randy, Willie, John, Pauline, Stephanie, and Chev, you guys were amazing. A lot of great education. We really wanted to take curls to a different level because that's what our audience was asking for, and you did just that. So thank you. And if you're looking for a career path and you like Sport Clips and you want to be one of us and get to hang out with all these amazing people, please follow us or check out our website. We'd love to have you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you all the artists.
Thank all of you, Stacia.
Thank you guys.
Whitney.
Have a great rest of the week, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a great day.